Okay, people, this is my third video, but I'm not uploading this. This is just the introduction to my third video of the day, which is November 10th of 2023. My second video is now converting, and then I'm going to upload it onto Auntie Shemai's YouTube channel. Then I'm going to upload it onto BitChute. And then I'm going to exit out of YouTube. And then I'm going to sign in under the Chorney family on this computer because it's already on the hard drive. And then I'm going to upload it onto the Chorney family channel. And then I'm going to exit out, like the two videos that I did today. And then I'm going to exit out, and then I'm going to log into New Nations Unity, and then I'm going to upload it there, the two videos. Well, this here will go on to the next video, which today should have been Lucy. Salsa. But it didn't happen. No, it didn't happen. Because, needless to say, I have been experiencing deep depression, and I've been very tired because these eye drops, I don't know, just the rigmarole of the cloudiness and the brain fog that comes with it, with the eye drops, and so I've been really quite sluggish. And plus Andre caught a bit. Well, see, Tisha got a cold. Then we had little Kyrie, and Andre must have caught the cold, and I think I kind of caught the cold. Needless to say, the tomatoes, right, I was supposed to make salsa with, some of them are becoming too soft to my liking for salsa. And then I kind of got distracted. So tomorrow what I'm going to do is I'm going to order it. This one's way too soft. Well, actually it's just getting there. So technically I should tonight put an order in for some more fresh tomatoes from Walmart, have them delivered, and if I don't do them tomorrow, I can definitely do them the next day, because you know I gotta get the energy. That's what I was supposed to do today, but it just didn't happen. So anyway, what I did get though in the mail, speaking of justice warriors and freedom fighters and all that good stuff, it's just one after another here, right? With all those beagle lawyers on BitChute who have been shadow banned by our international governments and booted them off of YouTube. Well, anyway, we know that when we know that when BitChute had their payment plan shut down because they're under attack as a website to silence free speech and to keep us freedom warriors in check. Anyway, I've been a paying member to BitChute. Fucking YouTube, right? I'll never pay for YouTube. No. That's okay. You want to slap an ad, I'll just click out the ad as soon as I can. Sometimes I let them play. It benefits the YouTuber. So be it. Other than that, no. They cause me way too much stress. So anyway, I was paying for BitChute, right? 3 years. And after a year, they gave me a really nice t-shirt, to which I don't know where it is. It's somewhere in the house. But I like it. It's nice cottony. And a hat. As a thank you for being a paying member to their website. Where is it? Why is it not here? Where's my BitChute hat? Got the Mayor X hat. Oh, there it is. Right there. So they gave me a nice BitChute hat and a really nice t-shirt that I like because the cotton is thick and heavy. It's just, I don't really have any place for my clothes, so they tend to just pile up and stay in a bag or something like that, and then I just run around wearing farmer stuff all day long until they're basically no good no more, and then I chuck them out. You know, because, you know, it's not a fashion show with me. But anyway, first time around, after a year of being a paying member to BitChute, they sent me this BitChute hat, and again, the beautiful black t-shirt, to which I can't wait to find it so I can wear it around the house, because it feels really nice. It's a nice cotton, that's what I'm saying. Right? And then, oh, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago? This was before they had their payment plans shut down. Right? Because there's organizations, government organizations, trying to shut them up. Trying to take down the whole website, right? Because they don't want free speech. They don't want debate. They don't want nothing. They want complete control of the masses. They want to remove the fact that when you were in grade school, grade 8, grade 7, grade 8, grade 9, grade 10, right? Middle school, I guess, where the teacher would tell you that you as a human being had the right to participate in an open debate. And with that debate came rules, where one, it's a debate, so you got to refrain from letting your biased opinions interfere with the debate, right? And that's why it's called a debate, right? And that when you come across people that try and force their opinion on you and make it sound like it is law, there is no debate, then ultimately that in itself becomes a biased opinion, to which any good teacher in middle school would let their student know that that's not fair. And then it's leaning towards totalitarian society or ideology. Either or. Anyway, about 6 months, 7 months ago, I guess I was up for another reward. I was surprised because they were emailing me. So I filled it out, and I was allowed, that's the hat, it's a little tight on me right now. Anyway, I filled it out, and it turned out I could get 4 t-shirts, I guess. I filled out whatever I was able to fill out, okay? That was like months and months ago, like 6, 7, 8 months ago. And I'm like, okay, it didn't go through, got lost in the mail. I don't know what happened to it. I was surprised that they were even offering it to me. Well, guess what happened today, just now? Guess what just happened right now? I got it in the mail. I'm like, what is this in an envelope? What is this? And I'm looking at the wrapping, to which I can't see now. I mean, that's how bad my eyes are. And it's saying it came from Thailand with my name on it. And I'm like, Thailand? No. I'm ordering cheesecloth from Amazon, not something from Thailand. You know, I'm ordering a sausage stuffer. I'm ordering gypsum for tofu making. What the heck is in this bag? I had 2 of them on my doorstep. What the heck is in this bag from Thailand with my name on it? I'm like, oh, maybe you shouldn't open it. It's like those mysterious seeds. And I'm like, no, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of life. Maybe somebody sent you a gift from Thailand. Somebody that watches your YouTube videos. But, so, yeah, it came from Thailand. Chiang Mai, Thailand. I'm like, what the heck? Thailand. Came from Thailand. So I opened it up, and I had two sets. This and this. And I'm like, t-shirts? Why do I have t-shirts? I'm looking, and then I see the little word bit. No, I can't see. Is it? Yeah, you see? Which goes on to read BitChute. Now I ordered extra large for my son because, you know, he's a lumberjack. Likes to cut down tree. Well, he's not a lumberjack, but he climbs up, works outside, cuts trees down, does all that kind of stuff. Stuff like what a lumberjack would do. The only thing is he doesn't work in a forest. Speaking of my son, there he is. Andre, go open the door. I'm going to give it to him right now.
Walk it?
This is nice. Look at this. Yeah. The cotton is so nice. This is extra large. Marcane, I got something for you. Just hold on. Something for work. Okay. I gave my son those shirts. For work. He said he's going to wear them not for work, but for working out at the gym. He lifts weights. He really liked the quality of the cotton. I knew he would. And I got new work shirts around the house. That's what these are for me.
Okay, never mind. Never mind about the jacket.
Huh? Oh, it's on the back. And on the front. Where is it? Right there. Right? You have to keep in mind everything's blurry for me. So I'll be wearing these when I'm in the kitchen cooking something. So I thought maybe I'd never get it. I'm surprised it showed up at the doorstep. But they're nice. I told my son what happened with BitChute and how governments, more than one, are trying to take them offline, to censor them, to silence them, to take out the debate, to bring in a totalitarian regime when it comes to
Okay, I'll be right back.
conversation with a lopsided, biased dictatorship, which goes against everything that I was taught in middle school when it came to being in a functioning, cohesive society that is quote-unquote civilized. All right. Now, I'm not going to sign up real fast, start becoming a paying member to BitChute at this point, because I am trying to put myself into check, into my spending habits, like buying sausage stuffers, tofu makers, and stuff like that. Right, to which, now that I got it coming, I already paid for it, I don't have to ever buy it again. So there's really not too much more than I need of anything other than just to hunker down, start using some of these things, like the meat grinder, and the noodle maker, and the sausage stuffer, and the tofu maker, and or whatever. That new canner pot, so that Andre can learn how to make his own salsa as he learns how to grow his own tomatoes, whether it's inside of the house or outside of the house. And but at some point in the future, I do appreciate what BitChute did do. My son is extremely happy with the quality of the shirt, and I know when he puts it on, after he washes it, he's going to find it to be very, very feeling good, eh? Because it's a nice quality, it's a nice weight, and once I get just get myself in that, then yeah, I'll probably go back and sign on as a paying member to support the website in light of what we're up against when it comes to those freedom fighters. Interesting that this should come now. And what does BitChute represent? Freedom. The freedom of speech. The freedom to be able to tell it exactly how you see it, how you interpret it, how you feel about it, and even have the ability to have the debate around that issue. Whatever the issue is that you're talking about on BitChute. Whereas with YouTube, for all I know, people, the 2 videos that I are uploading today, 1, 2, this is going on to 3, but the 2 that I did, especially with this last one that's converting right now, you know, there's no trust in YouTube. None, absolutely none. They could take him down, but they'd have to take him down from 3 separate channels, and I'm not trying to have backup channels here, okay? I'm not putting it up on the Chorney family as a backup. I'm not putting it up on Sinead Chorney's channel as backup. Alright, what I'm doing is I'm opening up the channels so that perhaps Andre can start getting creative with those channels and moving them forward. And the best that I can hope for out of that whole process when it relates to quote-unquote YouTube is that it's helping Andre to self-educate himself through hands-on experience in terms of learning how to use operating systems and that kind of thing. So, okay, I'm talking. Stay quiet. Just hold on a minute. Okay, so today is November 12th of 2020. I'm sorry. I'm stuck on 2020 here. Uploading onto BitChute exclusive with the videos that YouTube's taken down. Anyway, Lucy, it's 2023 of November 12th. So I am going to attempt, as you can see, to make some salsa sauce, because I don't like paying for it in the grocery store, because it's once in a while, yeah, maybe, but if you want to eat it fairly regularly, I highly recommend maybe trying to do it this way. And because you like to garden, try and plan a session in the summertime with your fresh garden tomatoes. Because normally, I'm just going to get straight up into it because it might be a long video. Normally, when you're canning tomatoes, like if you want to just can tomatoes in a can, just straight up tomatoes, or you want to make tomato sauce and can that, or whatever, I mean, you should use off the vine ripe tomatoes. Off the vine. In other words, the tomatoes ripened on the vine. You've seen it for yourself. You know that they ripened on the vine. And you picked them, and you came and you canned them. That's for, I guess, optimal results. However, not everybody can grow their own tomatoes. So I would think the thumb of rule is to do it the way I first said it, but the second rule is, which I'm going to do, because this is kind of a little bit of a rebel canning here, and I'll tell you why in a minute, but these are store-bought tomatoes, to which they're grown in hothouses, so, you know, it's pretty straightforward to grow a tomato. Now, what they spray on them, I don't know. You know, do they let them ripen on the vine? Quite possibly. It's hard to say. So anyway, regardless, I got some frozen ones from when I had my little grow room, but it's not enough to do what I need to do. And if I'm doing this and I need a few more, I can always grab them from the freezer. And those ones ripened on the vine. So, I'm using tomatoes that I bought in a grocery store already ripened. How they ripened? I don't know. In terms of an outside spray to keep them fresher, who knows? Yeah. So with that said, I've got 3 different kinds here. Okay, I'm not rushing. I'm like, you don't even know. I don't know, people. I had this eye situation. Now, mind you, I was on the computer yesterday, like pretty much all day, right? Transferring those deleted videos off of YouTube, and then I uploaded them onto BitChute, and I did 3 videos. So it really strained my eyesight because it was basically an all-day affair. And of course, you know, I get up in the morning and I can always tell that my eyes have deteriorated in my sleep, to which that's why this eye specialist wants me to do the roto-rooter on my left eye and consider it as a spare wheel, so that if and when, because they can't stop it, they can only slow it down. But if this one should go completely where I can't see nothing, whether it's completely black or it could be completely fucking white, because I asked him, I said, well, if I go completely blind in this eye, will it be completely black, or am I looking at just everything white? He said, well, either or, don't know yet. And I'm like, well, that's great, because if everything's white and that's all I see, there's no way I'm going to be able to deal with that. I'm going to have to put a freaking eye patch on. But he wants me to do the roto-rooter in this one, because even though he shot me 4 times with that laser, it didn't work. It didn't work, because the last time I went to the eye specialist, I used the drop, right, whatever, and, you know, it was at 25%, 25 or 26 PSI, which is too high. And then I got upset, so then I had to leave and I had to sit and wait to go see the doctor, because that was just, you know, to check the pressure. And I was sitting there and I was tearing up and all this shit. And by the time I went in to go see the eye doctor, he checked it again, and it went from 25 up to 39 PSI. Because, you know, my emotions started to come to the surface and I was holding back the tears, right, people? And just by that, it went from 25 to 39 PSI. So with that, he's like, well, you know, we need to maybe do that roto-rooter, because if you do, you lose the eyesight in this eye. You got to see this one as a spare wheel, where you're not going to see much, because it's 2% vision. You do the math on it, right? And it's just a little bit on this side, right? I don't see nothing in front of me, nothing on this side. I can see a little bit of stuff on this side. And, you know, it's like, so he says you can see a door frame when you're walking, and I'm like, holy fucking shit, like, why, Lord, why are you doing this to me? What is it that you want me to see eventually when I'm completely blind, as if my life hasn't been hard enough? Because that's the only thing I can think of. Because, what, am I going to be a role model for YouTube? Well, gee, I went blind. If I can do it, you can do it. Don't give up, Faith. You know, just hang in there like a dirty shirt. Don't get depressed. Don't become suicidal. Don't feel sorry for yourself. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. If I'm blind, you can do it too if you go blind. Like that. Where is the life lesson in this? Anyway. So today my eyes are bad because I did a lot of computer work yesterday. So with that said, now we know I'm going to be using store-bought tomatoes. Now these ones have been kind of sitting here like this, ripening for the last, I guess you can say, almost a week, because I'm running behind, right? But they're still in really good shape, like really good shape. Some of them are firm, some of them are a little softer, right? So of course I'll have Andre double check, make sure, right? And so far from what I can tell, they're still pretty good. These Romano tomatoes, they're getting a little softer, right? But they're still good. So I'll have Andre just double check, make sure that's fine. And then I had Walmart deliver me 2 days ago a few more fresh tomatoes to add to these tomatoes, right? Because I want a fairly decent sized batch. So I got 3 beefsteak tomatoes, right? Different kind. I'm going to mix my tomatoes up. And what I have here in this bowl are, and I have a bit of a cold too. I have these tomatoes. I don't know what these ones are. Tomato on the vine. Whether they ripened on the vine remains to be seen. But they grown in a greenhouse. So, which is these ones in the bowl. Plus I have the Romano in the bowl. But these ones are fresh, right? And then I ordered a few more Romano, right? So I have a few more fresh ones, 3 big beef steaks, a big bowl of that. I've got these if I need them, or I can grab my tomatoes that I grew in my little grow room. So we got enough tomatoes. Okay? And I actually got energy today. I lost a lot of energy for a few days. I had a lot of energy yesterday to do all that computer stuff, and the day before that I had somewhat a fair amount of energy. Today I'm like, but my energy ebb is somewhat okay. It's this, because it's so daunting and it's draining, and you get the brain fog, and you get a little dizzy because your eyes are blurry, but you have to push past it. All right, so then I got some peppers that I bought when I bought those tomatoes last week. So here's some green peppers. Right, that's good. I got 3 of those. I don't know if I'm going to use all 3. It depends. I have to see how many tomatoes I get. And a nice red one. So definitely the red one, with probably 2 green peppers. I've got more white onion than this, but I'm definitely going to put 1 whole one in there, which will be about what, a cup and a half or so, right? And then I have dried peppers, like dried hot peppers, different kinds in here, as if I can see anything, because it all looks the same now. It's very hard for me to distinguish what is what in here. I see chilies, I think. So if I wanted to, I could put some chilies in there. Yeah, I see chilies right here. Only because I know what the shape looks like. So we got some hot chilies here if we want. If we want. Or, oh yes, and I've got some parsley. I bought some parsley. Now I don't like cilantro myself personally, right? But I bought some, so I'm going to do some cilantro and some parsley. Okay, so we got that. And then I know I got some really funky hot chilies in there, but I don't need them. Like hot peppers, right? Because that was a long time ago. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up one of these jars. I have another one here. Where did I put it? I have 3 jars to choose from. Maybe it's off by my computer desk. Yeah, hold on. Now I have those little cans that I bought a while back, but I put those away right now. This is recording, yeah, okay. So we got a choice. We've got pickled sliced jalapeno from El Paso. You can see that. So I'm not sure which jar I'm going to open up yet. This is Rebel Canning Salsa, and I'll tell you why in a minute I say it like that. Okay? And then we've got pickled spices jalapeno. Great value, I guess, from Walmart. Right? So we can choose that one if we want. Or, and I might do 2 different kinds. It's hard to say yet. Or we can do pickled hot pepper rings. Or we can do pickled hot pepper rings. Now I only want to make a medium hot salsa, and this looks like it's a Walmart brand as well. So Andre likes hot things anyway, and he, so whatever. So I think I'm going to do is I'm going to probably try this one. right? Because, you know, those are the peppers that are probably dehydrated in there. But I'm not going to use dehydrated. And I'll probably use one of these. Maybe I'll go with this smaller jar first. I don't know. So I'll use some of these, the El Paso one, because it's a cute little small jar, fit nice in my fridge, because my fridge is kind of overstuffed with other things. And I'll use that. So that's what I'm gonna use as a heat source for this salsa, right? And maybe a little bit of garlic as well. And in terms, oh yes, and I got 2 lemons, or I'm sorry, 2 limes. I'm going to squeeze in some lime juice just for the flavor of it, right? Okay. And then, instead of now you have a choice, right? You have a choice because you have to preserve it, right? And this is where I'm saying we're getting into, well, for me, I'm going into rebel canning because if you notice, I don't have a book here, right? And I've been looking at all these different recipes on the internet, whether, you know, Google salsa recipes and, you know, you're reading, which burns out my eyes, or I'm watching YouTube videos and looking at those recipes, copying and pasting, and I'm comparing all these different recipes, and as I'm watching, especially the videos on YouTube, I'm watching some of these people make salsa with not, in my opinion, with not enough vinegar, people. Right? They're not using enough vinegar to bring, you know, to get that pH level where you prevent botulism from forming within your jar. Because anytime, and I'm doing this for you, Lucy, okay? We know how I feel about YouTube. I look like I'm confident, you know, I look like I know what I'm doing, but we also know that YouTube treats me like their bitch, and it wouldn't matter if I was like this 24/7, always professional, always diplomatic, always polite, you know, whatever it is that they want you to be with the bustier, right? You know what I'm saying? Little earrings and some lipstick just so they can pimp your ass, right? You know, it's just whatever. Anyway. All right. But I am doing this for you, Lucy, and I will put this up on BitChute as well. Not that I get a lot of views on either website, but that doesn't matter. Okay, what matters is you reach one, you teach one, and I've been doing this for so long that, anyway. Okay, so you have certain foods, fruit with sugar, some fruits, not all fruits, but some fruits you can just in straight up water and nothing else. Grapes is one of them, for example. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, blueberries are another one, right? Whereas other fruits like mango, right? You gotta add in that little extra acidity, whether you're using lemon juice, citric acid. Okay, you don't put vinegar in it, but you can use lemon juice from a bottle. It can't be squeeze kind. Because over the years of, you know, what, they genetically modify or they graft or whatever they do, they crossbreed or whatever, the acidity in a lemon, an actual lemon or a lime, isn't where it's supposed to be in terms of if you're wanting to add it into your foods. Therefore, anytime you want to add lemon juice as a buffer to bring your acidity into your food, where you're not having to pressure can, it has to be bottled lemon juice. Now, I have bottled lemon juice downstairs, and I am going to do this again. I'm going to try a different recipe, but this is the recipe that I'm going to try for now. And I'm kind of mix-matching, modge-podging the recipes that I have on hand on my computer, because honestly, none of them, I don't trust not one of them, in light of it just seems like everybody's rebel canning their own salsa sauce, and some of them have higher acidity in them in terms of a higher percentage of vinegar to the product, where others have a higher product with less vinegar and still seem to think that whatever they're making is safe, to which, you know, not necessarily so, because anytime you get into your vegetables, your vegetables, right? Your peppers, your onions, those kind of things. Well, if you wanted to can an onion, for example, oh my God, if you wanted to can an onion, just can it, right? The only way you could can it safely for any length of time is to pressure can it in a pressure canner with some water for 40 minutes for a pint-sized jar. So if you're putting this into your salsa and you're only water bathing after the fact of either up between 10 minutes and 30 minutes, depending on what recipe you're coming across, because again, everybody seems to be doing their own thing, right? Some just water bath for 10 minutes. Others are water bathing for 30 minutes. The point is you can't safely can an onion, any kind of pepper, it doesn't matter what it is, what color it is, in a water bath canner for 10 to 30 minutes. It's impossible. That's why you have to have either bottled lemon juice to bring in that acid environment where nothing can grow in terms of botulism, or you use vinegar. And you have the choice of 2 different types of vinegar, to which I'm not going to use regular vinegar today. I'm rebel canning. I'm going to try something different. I'm going to use an unopened bottle of Bragg's apple cider vinegar. Will Andre and I like it after the fact? It's hard to say. Because we don't eat this. I don't cook with this. I just bought 10 bottles of it, and I already gave 1 bottle to my son. I gave away Mo. I had a care, like a pet rescue come and pick up Mo with her kittens because it's just too much for me. And I gave her a bottle of this unopened for the cats, right? And a bag of food and you know, big bag of food and a box of, you know, canned food, and I gave her another bag of kitten food. And so I'm still got 8 bottles, and I'll probably buy 10 more because it never goes bad in long-term food storage as long as it's not opened, okay? So keep that in mind. Keep it in a dark, cool place. And I've read where there's some recipes where people use this versus white vinegar. So I'm like, well, you know, I want to make this healthy for Andre, right? Not to mention for myself. But definitely I've got Andre on my mind because he likes to eat it, right? Just like and I got the sausage stuffer. You want hot dogs? There, go make them for yourself. You want Mr. Noodle? No, there, go make it for yourself because you've got everything that you need to make it, and it's healthier and it's better for you. Well, this is the same idea. Why do you want to buy salsa sauce, pay $5-6 for, you know, a jar, which is not very much? Well, this, I don't know, this is going to be a long day. So, anyway, with this time around, I'm going to use this because it's more nutritional than just white vinegar. Okay? Now, you know, I've been cooking for a long time, canning for a long time. And as long as I keep in with the general guidelines in terms of the amount of cups of this and cups of that, and then add in this, and you know, the lime is not for to you know, balance out the acidity as it is for the taste. Okay, so I'm not relying on the lime to do the job in terms of preserving the food without having to take it to a pressure canner, because otherwise I'd have to pressure can everything for 40 minutes. And even then, we know through my videos, there's always that golden rule. You still have to warm it up, bring it to a boil, get it going, put on a lid, turn it down, and then do that 10-minute whatever to kill off any botulism that maybe survived, those spores that maybe survived through that pressure canning process, even though it was 40 minutes, because we didn't rely on this to preserve our foods, right? And, you know, usually when people open up salsa, that's the last thing they want to do is go to the stove, heat it up, cook it for 10 minutes, let it cool, stick it in the fridge, and then eat it. Now, you could do that, right? You could do that if you wanted a lower percentage of acidity, because I don't know what this is going to taste like after the fact, right? Never mind with apple cider vinegar, because it's not something that we consume. Although, if I had to choose between, well, if I'm trying to make a good product here that's healthier than what I buy in a grocery store in terms of maybe what's in their ingredients, or at least in terms of costs, right? Then yeah, you know, I'm going to try this first. And then I'm going to do it again at some point with bottled lemon juice. Right? I'm just too lazy to go get the bottle, because I'm debating, and I'm like, oh, you're going into rebel canning here, Judy. You know, you don't feel comfortable not really with one recipe that you've come across since you've been looking at, like, I probably looked at 15 of them, and not one of them has really made me feel comfortable, because they're all mixed up in terms of the amount of what they use to preserve this. And then if you go to the, you know, FDA something certified whatever, some of these people, I don't think they know what the hell they're doing. I really don't. But they profess to know, so I'm like, well, whatever. Okay, so that's what I mean by rebel canning. Now this is at 5%, which is equal to the white vinegar. It's just going to have a different flavor. So how it's going to merge in with everything that I'm trying to do here, I'm not sure. Obviously, if it ends up tasting good, then I would highly recommend maybe going with the more nutritional vinegar versus the standard vinegar at 5%. Now, you can also do this, which is what I may or may not do. I will let you know when I get there. You don't have to technically, quote unquote, because I read all these recipes and everything, and I'm already familiar with pasteurized. Like I'm already familiar with using the pasteurizing method to seal jars without boiling the crap out of them. Although in this situation, what I'm making, I don't think it would make I don't think it would make much of a difference. What I'm trying to say is, I have the option to either put this. Well, I have three options really. I have the option of canning it in a pressure canner. For how long, I don't know, but I'm not even going to attempt to do that because I don't want to deal with the pressure canner. Or I have the option of doing it in a water bath. For, well, like I said, some people are doing it, they're just long enough to seal their jars for 10 minutes, right? You know, they just boil for 10 minutes, just long enough to seal the jar as if it was a jam. Or they're doing it for 30 minutes. I don't know. I would probably lean a little maybe longer, right? Lean towards a little longer. Although everything that you're doing is going to be pretty much cooked by the time you put it into the jar. Okay, or you can pasteurize it as if you were doing pickles or blueberries or something like that. And that's where you put your jars into water, bring it up to the temperature of 185, okay? 185 on a candy thermometer Fahrenheit, 185 Fahrenheit on a candy thermometer, between 185 and 90, 190 and 185, right? I usually go at about 190. And that's before it just, it's not even starting to boil yet, right? And it's under the water, obviously, right? You got your water above the lid, and you got it at 190, and you hold it at 190 for like 30, 20 minutes, whatever it is, right? And that seals the jar, and it pasteurizes. Pasteurizing kills any pathogens that maybe snuck themselves in as you were filling up your jars or whatever. And because you've got the acidity in there already, or it's already at the right acid level in terms of doing blueberries or something like that, you're going to be okay with the pasteurizing method, right? Because I've done it with pickles, I've done it with blueberries, and there was something else I did it with in one of my videos, right? So as I'm going reading, you know, somebody was saying this is, you know, my recipe and this is how I can it, and I do it through the pasteurizing method, and then they sent a link to some university that had already tested their recipe, and they had applied it to pickles to pasteurize, but this is almost, you're almost making a pickle, only you're doing it with salsa. So it is possible, what I'm trying to say is it is possible to pasteurize this versus having it in that water bath with that rolling boil, right? Now, however, we know that I want Andre to learn how to make his own salsa. If you can make your own hot dogs, you can make your own sausages, you can make your own homemade noodles, you can also make your own salsa. So what did I go off and do? I bought a new pot with this little round thing on it. You've seen that, where, you know, it tells you when you get to the pressure with inside the pot. Because if you remember, if you watched my video where I was canning low acid food, meat, in a water bath method for 3 hours boiling, and I was mentioning that if you're going to do it that way, technically you don't want to open the lid, because once you open the lid, you break the pressure inside the pot. Because you go on YouTube, you watch all these women do what these women do, and they're always lifting off the lids, pouring in more water, putting the lid on, bringing it back up to a boil, and then they continue on. No, you're not supposed to do that. That would be like doing a pressure canner, and halfway through, you know, you got to stop everything, let it cool down, open it up, add some more water, put everything back on, start venting, start the process again, but only do it for half the time, because you already did it half the time, but you broke it in the middle. You're not supposed to do that. That's the way I learned through reading, right? But if you're running out of water and you need to keep your jars covered, I can understand why those women would do it. So anyway, I'm not sure if I'm going to pasteurize or if I'm going to use that new pot, which I think I probably should, because that's the whole point, right, Lucy? Right? If you like that pot, you know, I'll be looking at it and we'll be looking at it, you know. You might be interested to get one for yourself, and then, you know, if you haven't canned salsa yet, it will make you feel a little more safer, comfortable, more in charge, you know, and you can do for yourself, right? And then, of course, once you got it, you can do other things with water bath, but not low-acid foods without any this kind of stuff in there. It has to be a pickled type of environment in order for you to be able to do anything that way. Unless, of course, you want to do like the Amish and do your water bath, right, for 3 hours. They do carrots for 2 hours if they put a tablespoon of vinegar or something in their quart-sized jar. If something happens with the vinegar, they don't use very much, only like a tablespoon. I went off and I bought a whole bunch of Amish cookbooks. They're around here. When this is all said and done with, eventually, hopefully, I'll still be able to see, and I'll bring them out. And we'll go through some of them. And we'll go through some of these recipes, and maybe we'll try them out. Especially the ones with the water bath, because, you know, if times get real tough, and people go on lockdowns, they can't get freaking pressure canners, or they can't get spare parts for their pressure canners, and they're, you know, on rations, and they come into a windfall of free meat or something like that, but they don't have freezers or whatever, it might boil down to boiling it, water bathing it in a water bath canner in order to preserve your meat. And I do believe that after 3 hours at a certain pressure, at a certain temperature, does the job. I do believe that. Yeah. It's just not something that's encouraged. That's all. Because that's, one, how they used to do it in the old days. And apparently there was a fella back in the day when that was going on that actually did the tests and determined that it was safe. But, you know, and other countries outside of Canada, the US, they don't have access to pressure canners. So that's how they do it, right? And if they've been doing it all these years and there hasn't been high numbers of people dying from it because of botulism, then obviously there's some truth to that, right? In terms of it being safe. It's how you do it, right? So the more you cannot open up the lid and break the pressure in the inside, the better off it is. So anyway, so yeah, I'll bring out that pot. I have to wash it. Obviously, I have to do a lot of prep here. That was a long introduction to this freaking video. I'm kind of disgusted with everything because, you know, it's just getting, I don't know, I just wish I would never have changed my cataract. I think it was too soon. Yeah. As for, oh my lord. As for, what do you call it? I was just cold too. What was I going to say? I don't even remember. I'm going to open this up right now just to see what it tastes like. Now, I have the choice of 2 jars. I'm kind of on the fence for it right now because, one, I have to be honest, I don't have experience canning with lug lids. This is a lug lid, right? Now, the thing about lug lids, and I told you this before, I don't want to dig for them right now. I have my old Salsa jars I've been collecting with the lug lids. The thing about the lug lids is underneath the lug lid itself, it has a special lining, right? That it's like, it's not like this. Okay? It's like a plastic of sorts that is actually better for tomatoes and that kind of stuff compared to this because of the acid eaten through. Right? It's just, you have to be careful when you're doing lug lids. I guess when you put the lid on, it's just enough where you, what do you call it? Where the lid is just barely, like it's, you know, you screw your lid on, and as soon as it hits, as soon as you feel the lid on the, you know, rim here, hitting the glass, that's when you stop turning. Where with this kind of lid, you put it on and you go kind of like finger tight. Where the other one, you can't do that. And if you do, you only need to go maybe half the mark compared to what you would with this one. Because, you know, the air has to escape, right? Because what seals the jar ultimately is the rubber, right? Or the plastic or whatever. It's a poly something. It's just different and it's just better. So I'm debating whether I should use these jars that I have already, you know, or if I should just use half pint size jars with your standard ball lids, right? I'm debating. I do want to use this. Now, I don't know how much is in here in terms of, like, how much, right? Like, that's more than a pint, that's for sure. But it's not quite a quart, so I'd have to kind of measure it out. And I don't feel that great in terms of just my eyes. And I mean, obviously, you can see because my house is cold and, you know, I'm overworked, I'm tired, and I'm trying to open this. Oh my lord. I don't like to hit them too much because you don't want to bend them, right? Like you don't want to bend the lid, right? You know how you take a knife, right? And then you get little puckers, and you don't want that. You want to be able to just, there we go. You heard it pop. Now that would be applicable to you if you were to use this jar again in a water bath canner technique. Okay, first thing is you take your lid. You heard it pop, right? you take your lid, when you put it on, you get it on, right? And then you just, see, it doesn't even really turn. I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't even really turn, right? Like, it doesn't. Like, if you want to close it, then yeah, but even then, when you close it, it doesn't have, like, it only has, like, a half an inch turn on it. Like, it really doesn't require much to close it after it's been opened, right? So in that situation, this is where they say, if you're gonna, and you can't, apparently you can't pressure can with lug lids, okay? Only water bath with them. So when if you're gonna use a recyclable jar, right? Which I may do that today just because we're rebel counting anyway, right? When you put your lid on, okay, you put it on, and you just, like, very light. Just, you don't even turn it. You just want it on there. And then the film underneath it does its magic. Because it's different. It's different. It sounds different. It reacts different. And then this way, if you do use these jars, you'll have, you know, they can go into long-term storage a little longer in terms of, we're talking years, without it eating through the metal as quickly as it would with these lids. And then, because you've got tomatoes in there and onions and stuff, what happens, just as a side note, as food sits in a jar like that for a long time, right? As long as the jar doesn't get penetrated with rust, because, you know, eat through and then the air gets, as long as the jar lid is intact and everything's sealed, but when you open it up and you look and you see underneath the seal, right, underneath the lid, little black spots, if you go like this and it rubs off, it's fine. That's just oxidization. That's just when something sits for a long time, it starts to discolor, like, you know, anything, right? It starts to, right? But it doesn't, doesn't indicate that it's bad. What would indicate would be meaning to be bad would be that the food itself, you would see it start to spoil, you'd smell it, right? And then, of course, you'd be like, well, why is that there? And then you'd look and you'd scrape it, and you see, like, maybe rust ate right through the lid, and the air got in, and that's why that's there. But if there's nothing there to indicate anything in terms of the jar being compromised with air, then that's just oxidization. Because people go out of their way, they do all this stuff, they put their jars away, they come back a year or two later, they open up a jar, they see something black, and they go, oh my God, it's no good, it's molded. No, that's not mold. That's oxidization. Mold is completely different, okay? That would be normal, because when the food is being processed, it's being pushed up. The air is being pushed up. Sometimes little food gets up in there, and it accumulates, and over time, because it's not sitting in the water, it just darkens. That's all that is. And the longer it sits in certain foods, right, it will go black, like tomatoes, right? If you have sun-dried tomatoes sitting in a jar for a long time in oil, over time, that jar will start to, you know, everything will darken. Well, it's the same thing, okay? So, I just want to try this. Kind of smells good. No, but you know what's going to happen, though? It'll make my nose run a million times worse. I'm kind of cold. I don't want to turn up the heat, though, because it just, the dust and everything makes, ugh. But I have to, because I'm freezing, and I don't want to be in here freezing all day. So I want to taste this. I don't think I can eat a whole one by itself. I'm not a hot person to eat things like this. Andre likes hot things, so he'll probably like this. It's actually quite good. It's not that hot. Now I'm getting a little bit of bite on it, but it's really not that hot. He'll go through this in a week. This is expensive. This is another thing I need to learn to know how to make. For as much as Andre likes this stuff. These aren't too bad. How much of it I would have to put in? I don't know. They're kind of sweet. That's what makes them taste good. Now, I guess I should... Oh, now I'm getting a bit of a bite. So that's alright. That's actually quite good. That's really good, actually. For what I'm making, from what I can tell, which is the way this tastes right now, for what I'm making, I could probably put a good half to a 1 cup into everything that I've got here after the fact, and it might not even be enough. I don't know. Yeah, no, okay, so now here's another one. I don't know what these taste like, but we're going to try it. These ones will probably be a little hotter. But those ones are good. I like that. There we go. Okay, you heard it. Okay, same kind of lid. Alright, it's a lug lid. So save your jars with lug lids. Just try not to bang the shit out of them. You can hit them, but just don't bend them out of shape. Okay? And then when you wash them, air dry them, and then I would not, okay, after you empty out your jar, you wash them, and then air dry them, and when you go to store them, first of all, I gotta be careful, because I don't eat hot food. The last thing I want to do is start hacking, going crazy because I stuffed this whole thing in my mouth. So I'll just take a little bite. Has a different flavor. It's good too. Yeah. Actually, it's very good. Now, you could use fresh peppers, you could use dry peppers, or you could do it like me and use these peppers, gain yourself some jars. The only thing is, when you put this in to your food, I would not cook them up with everything to begin with. I would put them on, I would put them in the last 5 minutes of what you're doing, just to heat up the end product. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because first of all, they're very, 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 very soft. So if you start cutting up your tomatoes, put your onions in there, do this, do that, stir it around, because you have to stew it for a while if you want. And I'm also going to use, like I said, Rebel canning. Let me focus. We'll get onto that in a second. If you cook this for any length of time in your pot, they're going to disintegrate. That's how soft they are. So if you're going to go this route and use this as the top off, I would highly recommend that you put it in the last 2 minutes. Put it in the last 5 to 2 minutes of whatever it is that you're doing before you put it into your jars, so that they retain their shape. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay? Now, I'm not satisfied with just this. I don't know what I'm thinking. See, losing your eyesight, you get that little bit of brain fog, and then you start doing things that maybe you wouldn't normally do, like canned salsa. Now, there is something that I do want to do with it. Oh, there's other ingredients that I do want to put into it. And one of them would be some tomato paste, a little bit of tomato paste, either a half a can or 1 can. As well as, I may put in 1 can of whole, chopped up a little bit of Romano tomatoes. Yeah, because like I said, I've looked at different recipes and everybody's just kind of doing what they want. So, you know. And I might even put in a can of, it depends. It depends what happens when I start cooking these tomatoes, right? And I may put in a can of tomato sauce. So I'm thinking to add in, as I'm cooking, right, a can of tomato sauce, a can of whole tomatoes, and a can of tomato paste. To which, they're coming from cans. Now you have to think about that mango. It's still recording, right? That came from the can, and what was in it? It already had the citric acid. One can had nothing but citric acid in it in order to balance out the pH. Where the other can of the mango pulp, or whatever it was, had citric acid and the absorbent acid, but the absorbent acid wasn't used as the preservative as like a citric acid was. It was more to preserve the color of the mango. Well, I can almost guarantee you they've got citric acid in this can, to which we're going to look right now. Ingredients: tomato paste, water, salt, garlic powder, onion powder, paprika, citric acid. So by adding this into the food, the tomato paste, if I want, because I want volume, I want to bring in more volume, right? And the other can of tomatoes, right, which are tasty, right? All three will have citric acid already built into it, so you don't have to worry about the pH balance, right? In addition to, I found my citric acid that's in a bag over there in a bucket. So after it's all said and done, because I have to crunch the numbers as I'm going, I got to measure out. I don't have to worry about this, but I have to worry about all that. And then I have to balance it out with this. And then I'm going to add in whatever, right? And I still, actually, at the end of the day, I'm probably going to still add in, if I use pint-sized jars, I'll probably add in 1/4 teaspoon of citric acid per jar. I'm not going to do quarts. I think I'm just going to do, well, I kind of want to use up these jars because the box is sitting there and it's kind of getting on my nerves, and I want to see if these jars work. And I don't know if I have enough jars, but I have a fair amount of them anyway, 5 to 7 of them, which would fill up one canner, right? And then whatever's left, I can always use half pints, right? But you're looking at more than just a 1/4 teaspoon of citric acid, because this is more than a pint. I don't think it's 2 pints. I'd have to pour in and see, right? Those are actually quite good. I can see this going to be a problem already, and it hasn't even started with Andre digging into it. And then when I want it, it won't be there. So I might have to learn how to do these too. But they're good. Yeah. We're going to eat them just like that. And I can definitely taste the vinegar in them. These are very good. I'm going to order some more of these because I'm not going to worry about canning peppers. So, for Walmart, this is good. I like this. This is a good, I guess, a great value for hot peppers. If you like not too hot and kind of in the middle of the road with a hint of sweet, just enough to keep you coming back, yeah, go with this product right here. That's pretty good. So that's what's happening here, right? And then as you want to try this?
Maybe I want some water first.
Huh?
So I'm drinking some water first.
I want you to try it and tell me what you think of it.
Is it spicy?
Now, if you ever get into this jar, what do you have to do to prevent it from, like those olives?
Huh?
Now that you know that this is here, you remember when you were giving me olives and you were using dirty silverware to give me olives, and then we went in there and there was mold growing on top of the olives,
No,
and I had to throw them out?
I never used
That
it.
was a lot. Well, you used something.
No.
Okay, well, what did I tell you to do after the fact from that point forward?
Use clean spoons or forks.
Use clean spoons or forks, okay? And don't cross-contaminate.
Yeah.
Take one. Just grab it.
Is it like a banana pepper?
I don't know. Tell me what you think of it. It's actually pretty good.
Spicy.
Here.
Tastes like a jalapeno.
You like it? I like it.
Yeah, I like it.
I like it. I actually like it a lot.
It reminds me of. I think that might be actually banana pepper. Yeah, it is.
Well, I opened up 2 jars because I'm going to make this now. So I'm going to put... I know, but it's good. It's addicting. I'm going to put jalapeno and these ones in there for taste.
Why is there another jar of jalapeno?
Because I bought. I haven't put it away yet. Right? Because you like hot foods.
I do.
Yeah.
And I really like those. Those are addicting.
Well, I think these are a little more affordable than maybe hot sauce. I think this will go a lot further than hot sauce, although I think we need to learn how to make hot sauce. But that's another day. That will be another day. Right. Okay, so now I have to do the prep work. Oh joy. So I'll be back. Okay, so I'm gonna use the jars with the lug lids, and I cut off and I didn't finish what I was saying when it came to the jars here. What you want to do when you store them, obviously you wash them and stuff, and then you put them in a box, but don't put them on with their lids. Okay? Keep the lids separate. Just because you want to keep the lid as dry as possible. If you screw it onto the jar, maybe you missed something when you were washing, and it's just better to do it this way, okay? I'm just seeing what I can get here. Only I can't see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I guess these are almost the equivalent as a, what is that called? A quart-sized jar. So if you're going to use citric acid as backup, to which I might, and even then I wouldn't have to put in, I don't think, a half a teaspoon in a quart size. Maybe even like 3/4, like a quarter teaspoon, and then a half of a quarter. Right? Just because you've already, especially if you're going to start adding in stuff like this that already has citric acid, and we don't know how much of this I'm going to use yet. I have to get this measured out first, right? So when you do your lids, you wash, and air dry, and then just put everything in a bag. And then what I do is I just keep, I stack the jars. Like I already got 8 jars there. Right? Because Andre and I, we've been chowing down with this stuff. And I have more in here yet, a couple. I don't know how many, there's a few more in there yet. And then when you start buying like this, do you see they start to add up? Right? And people that can with this kind of stuff, repurpose or whatever, they've found that they can use it more than once, twice, 3, 4 times. Okay? As long as you're not bam, 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 busting up everything, right? You can hit a little bit to release it. You'll hear it, right? So I'm going to, and they come in like, there's all kinds of these jars that have these lug lids. If you go off and you buy juice, for example. Alright, try not to lose the lug lids, though. I can't find the lug lid for this. Well, maybe I found it and threw it in the bag. I don't know. You know, this is great for juice. Great for juice. All right, I bought a whole bunch of that. So I got some more jars there that when, after they're all said and done, and I have a box full, then I'll repurpose these jars with the same kind of weight with juice. And in a situation like that, yeah, I would pasteurize. So now, after you get your jars and you figure out what you're going to use for jars, obviously you have to wash everything, right? And then after that, because you're doing a water bath and these are used jars, it's best to boil them, right? So I'm going to wash the canner, I'm going to wash the jars, and I am going to boil them for 10-15 minutes. I usually let it run for about 15 minutes. You only need 10 though. And then just turn down the heat and just keep them hot until you're ready to use them, right? And then these things, the lug lids, obviously I'll wash them. They don't need to be, but I'll wash them. Just give them a quick wash. And I guess you can put them into a pot with, you know, semi-hot, not real hot, but semi, and just let them be there, right? Because you just want to soften up your sides. Now, if you had screwed the lid onto the jar and you stored it like this, two things, well, one thing for sure is going to happen. You're going to open the jar and you're going to smell it, especially if it's like got a lot of acid in like terms of pickles and stuff, right? So one way to remove that is to let the jar just sit opened, right? Also, too, if, like I said, you maybe miss something in the inside of your lid and you put it in here, you're giving it the perfect environment to grow and eat away at the plastic, and you know. So you want to keep it just, air kills germs, just remember that. Okay? Now this thing has a rack, so let me see how it works. Might be good for me. Oh, that's pretty good. That's easier than grabbing like the old days. It's hard for me to see, right? And that's perfect. That's perfect. Actually, this canner is the right height. Now, in terms of a quart-sized jar, maybe what I should do, just for the fun of it, where's a quart-sized jar? Do you see? Where am I? Oh, you see? Pretty nice, huh? Got lots of room. So by the time you bring your water up, it will be up to there. That's perfect. So yeah, so far this canner is thin though. Whoops. See? Jars all over the place. It's kind of thin. That's the one thing I don't like about it. But hold on. Okay, so I put a quart-sized jar in here, just to compare to these other jars. There is a difference by three-quarters of an inch, I'd say, in terms of height. Appear to be a little wider than these ones, but that's okay. Make sure to check your rims on these jars as well before you get too far into the game. You want to make sure there's no chips, right? No. Now, every jar is different.
Oh, I swallowed them. I just swallowed them.
But the thing I'm noticing about these jars, I mean, like every lid is different because different products have different lids. But at the end of the day, it's pretty straightforward right across the board in terms of it's interchangeable. So I wouldn't get too anal about, well, was this the right lid for this jar, even though I don't have the label on it anymore and it doesn't tell you what it came from. you're going to find that it's basically going to fit. The secret to lug lids is not, right? And it's not even doing it at finger tight, apparently. You don't even really want to go, okay? Normally you go finger tight. These ones, no, you don't want to. You just put them on, and as soon as they meet the rim, and you can feel it meeting the rim, then you just very, very gently, you know, just like feather gently, and then let the rubber do its magic. Okay? Because otherwise your jar will break under the pressure of the air not being able to escape. So there you go. Now that I got that, what I'm going to do, how I deal with this problem. Every time you solve a problem, you create, well, yeah, when you go to solve a problem, right, you can see how fast these things are piling up in my house. I mean, we'll do $5 a jar, right, on the low ball, on sale. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, and there's 8 jars in there. 40. That's $40 of what you'd have to spend in a grocery store just to get the salsa. And then you chuck out the jar. Right? So if you're growing your own tomatoes, it's even cheaper. Right? But if you're buying, well, whatever. I don't know. I didn't write down everything that I paid. That's not what I'm trying to accomplish here, versus next year, hopefully, I'll have some tomatoes growing. I can use those. You know, you just have a bit more control as to what goes inside these things. And anytime you do home canning, it always ends up being usually a little cheaper than if you were to buy at the grocery store. Okay, I got lots of work to do now. I'm trying to solve a problem, and I just created another mess that I have to just clean up. Okay, so, yeah, it's okay to mix vinegar with a little bit of citric acid right here before you begin filling your jars with salsa, because, you know, right, just drop in a quarter. Here they've got it at 1/4 of a teaspoon of citric acid into each quart-sized jar, and 1/8 teaspoon per jar for pints. And that's all, and that's it. Using your jar funnel, scoop salsa out of your stock pot with a measuring cup or ladle. Now, it's not saying here whether there's acid or vinegar or lemon juice or whatever, but at the very top, since salsa, now I do have a pH meter reader. I got it for, what did I buy it for? Something to do with Andre, I don't know. It's still in my bedroom. I have not used it yet. I'm not going to dig around and look for it right now, but that's for another day. And I'm not sure how well it would read if you were to use something like that to check the pH on the salsa itself. But besides that point, since, and we already know I'm going to be using apple cider vinegar, right, for the nutritional part of it, okay? Since salsa is quite acidic from the tomatoes and the vinegar, right, it is perfect for hot water canning. But just to be extra safe, and that's what I'm trying to do here, right? It's recommended to increase the acidity just a little bit more. That's where the citric acid powder comes in. So we know I'm going to use the apple cider vinegar. Here it's saying just use 1/4 teaspoon for a quart and 1/8 of a teaspoon for a pint. Where I've read somewhere else, but that maybe was just something that didn't have vinegar in it. Okay, so hold on. Okay, so, I wanted to mention, when you wash these jars, okay, sometimes well, all the time. When you soak off the label, right in here is the glue that they use. Now, what I do to get that glue off is I put a little bit of cream Vim on it. I let it sit for a bit so the Vim softens it up. And then I take a sharp, flat blade knife and I just gently scrape it off. And then if need be, I take a little bit of an SOS and then just lightly, and it comes off. Now this one here didn't have that done, so I didn't put it in there. Because otherwise, if you put your jars like this in with this goopy gummy glue, and you start boiling them and stuff, you never know. I mean, like, it might get into the water and then get in, travel around. So make sure you take off that. Now, what we have to do first is we have to blanch these for 30 seconds. Just enough so that we can peel them. You don't have to peel them, but I'm going to blanch these anyway and see how it goes. And now, before you do that, though, you kind of have to put an X on them. Not at the stem part, but on the other end, so that after you're done blanching and you cool them down, then it's easy to peel. That's why they do that, right? But the ones down in the bottom, because I can't see, I kind of made, well, I'm over the stove, I kind of made the X's maybe too big, so maybe the bottom ones I might not blanch. I might just end up cutting them small, leaving the skin on. But probably 3/4 for sure, half to 3/4 for sure. I'm going to blanch for 30 seconds. I put them in here after the fact, and then I'm going to run them to the sink. And I don't have ice to make ice cold water, so I just run them under cold water. I do have an ice machine that's coming from, I don't know where it's coming from, but it's coming from somewhere, probably someplace like Thailand or someplace, because it's running late, and I only paid like $29 plus tax and like $7 in shipping fee. I thought I'd try it, right? Because they, other ice machines were like 160, 180 and up, right? And I'm like $29. Now that can't be true. Oh, but I'll give it a shot. And apparently, if it doesn't come, eventually Amazon will refund my money, so it's a legitimate seller. So we'll see. And it looked like it was the same kind of ice machines that other people were trying to sell for $180 or more. So when I get the ice machine, I got the ice machine, right, for the smoothies and stuff. And I suppose if I knew I was going to do this, I could make ice and then, yeah. So in the meantime, I just run everything under cold water. Just move it around, and soon enough it cools down. It's good enough for me, right? So, and now what's going to happen here is the storage space on it is not very big, so I think I'm going to take after this little, and I'm going to import it onto the computer and start fresh and pick up, because this video will probably be a little longer than, well, I don't want to say as usual, but it will probably be a fairly lengthy video by the time I'm all said and done with it. So, I can't rush, right? That sounds like gunshots, but can you hear that? It's raining outside. Now, we just got over Halloween, so it could be fireworks, but in this neighborhood, you never know.
What'd you say?
I said, that sounds like gunshots. I said, but it's just Halloween has just been done with, like, what, a week and a half ago, so it could be fireworks, yeah.
I seen them.
Oh, you've seen them?
Yeah,
oh, okay, problem solved. So what I'm going to do here now is, again, people do this differently. Everybody throws everything in. Well, not everybody, but some people throw all their ingredients into one pot, get everything ready, chop it all up, do whatever, use food processors, blah. I have to do everything by hand because the one food processor that I have up there, I don't know where the other parts are, and if I do know where the parts are, I can't get to them. Then I have another food processor that I've had since Brooks was a baby, that I can't get to right now because of whatever. And so in the meantime, I'm going to cut everything by hand. That's the first thing. I have this little food thing up there, but I don't know. It's not meant really for. Okay, so I'm just going to cut everything by hand, and then after people, whether they cut by hand or they do the food processor, they throw everything into the pot, they stir it all around, and then they can it. Well, I'm not going to do mine like that because I seen another woman on YouTube do it different, and what she did is, and I like this idea better. She processed her tomatoes basically first. Right, just the tomatoes, nothing else. Okay, to bring down the liquid, right, so that they were like more not so runny, right. So after I blanch them, peel them, I guess de-seed them. I'm going to keep the peels. I'm going to keep the seeds. I'll keep that separate. I'll put that in the fridge, and then maybe tomorrow I'll blend it up in a blender, turn it into a pulp, and then either you can cook it and make it like a tomato juice, or maybe I'll use that as a base for just a small little soup or something, right? Or you can dehydrate it. Well, not the juice. Well, not the, you're doing the seeds and the skin. You can grind them up and you can dehydrate that if you want, and you can use it to sprinkle on things. But I'm not going to turn on my dehydrator just for a few tomato skins and a few seeds. So I will blend them up, and then maybe use that just as a little base for a small little soup or something. I don't know. Either that or chuck it out. And then chop them up after they're de-seeded, de-skinned. Chop them up, and then I'm going to start cooking them down. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cook them down, see how that goes, see how much liquid comes. But as I do that, I'm probably going to add one of these, one small can of tomato paste, and 1 can of whole canned Romano tomatoes in with what I've got. And I'm just going to simmer that down for a little while. And as it's simmering and doing everything that it's done, my jars by then will be boiled, right? And they'll just sit in the hot water until I'm ready. And then I'm going to cut my onion. I'm going to cut my peppers. And do all that. And then I will probably take the time to measure out the tomato sauce to see approximately how much I got in terms of the numbers of cups of tomato sauce in comparison to the number of cups of pepper and onion, right? So that I can kind of get a guesstimate of how many cups I've got in general with everything. Put this in, right? Based on the one recipe that I'm looking at this point. I don't know. All I know is at some point I am going to use the citric acid in these jars, to which I should probably see how many pints I can get into this, which would probably, it might even be 2 pints. Pretty close to 2 pints. So hold on. Okay, so I'm going to do it this way instead. Now again, you read different recipes, you see people do different things. Some people are using 1/4 inch headspace, other people are using a 1/2 inch headspace, right? Now here's the jar. Normally when you get, there's water in it right now. Normally when you get salsa in a store, your salsa is pretty much up high, right? It's not down here. Okay, it's up here. So I'm bringing it basically, from what I can see here at this point, right up to this rim, which is about, I don't know, maybe a 1/2 inch. Okay, that might be about a 1/2 inch pushing into a 1/4 inch headspace. So just to get a general idea of where we're sitting, in comparison to a quart-sized jar, right? And don't forget, we don't have to, or I don't have to use a lot of citric acid. I'm just using it as backup, right? So I'm just going to pour this in here. Whoa. Whoa. See, this is where eyesight's bad, right? You know, because you've seen that, eh? And my eyes get dry and they get buggy, and you know, it's just like being squeezed because of the drops, right? The drops, right? The drops, right? Okay, if you notice, it's not a full quart. Okay, it's not a full quart. Now I could go off and spend $22, $24 for another case of jars in terms of quart-sized jars, right? I might even have a case over there. I know I've got plenty of pint-sized jars, but that's not what I want. I want to be frugal. So in a situation like that, if they're saying, what was it, a quarter inch or 1/8 inch? 1/8? One was saying 1/8. 1/4. One was saying 1/4 inch for a half pint. 1/4 inch for a pint. 1/4 teaspoon for a pint. 1/2 teaspoon for a quart. But if you're just topping off, to ensure that you've got enough acidity in this without a tester, which I will dig out for next time I do this. We know we're using vinegar, so in this situation, I'm only going to do about 1/8. I don't even know if I have a 1/8 teaspoon. But that's half of a 1/4 teaspoon, and I should have that. I don't know, but I'm going to do approximately 1/8 or so. I don't know what I'm going to do. I have to read that again, think about it. I have to find something. Here's something. The burners are on. One over there in the back was smoking. I don't do well with this stuff anymore. No, these eye drops are like putting me into an early grave. Yeah. Making me sick. They've always made me sick. I don't have glasses here, so I can't see. But this is probably about 1/4 teaspoon. Which I'd go just a tad bit less, maybe. Okay, so here we go. There's some tomato paste. What's in here? In terms of ingredients, tomato. It just says tomatoes and citric acid. Okay? So you're not going to need a lot of citric acid in your jars. And you just put it at the bottom of the jar before you fill it up, okay? And if you want, you could take a little chopstick and stir it around. And then we've got these whole plums. I like the way they taste. That's why I want to use it. Boy, oh boy. I'm in rough shape here, people. When I wasn't using eye drops, I didn't have this problem. As soon as I started using those eye drops, everything just got worse and worse and worse and worse. I'm not saying I didn't have this problem, because when I was working in the yard, that's how it started. My son is a tree cutter, and when he was out there in the back doing something with me, I don't know what it was. We were doing something anyway. He'd get the boogers running out of his nose like I do when I'm outside working. I said, "Oh, you are a farmer like me, eh?" right? That's how it started for me, working in this yard, really, and with all the crud and everything, and just whatever. But besides that point, the burners are mucky because Andre he cooks, right, for himself, eh? A little bit, right? And he get everything in the burners, and I didn't clean the burners. I'm driving me nuts. And going down the hall and everything. Okay, so here we've got tomatoes, tomato juice, calcium chloride, and citric acid. Okay, so this is just going to bring up the citric. This is just, it's going to add a little extra preservative in there, right, at some point, because it's already built into the product. I may or may not use this. It depends what happens when I boil it down, because I can always open this up and pour and add a little more if I feel, you know, I'm looking for a certain kind of, you know, I don't know what I'm doing, but hold on. Okay, so basically where I'm at now is I just stood at the sink and basically peeled off the skin and, what do you call it, took out as many of the seeds and whatever, and so this is what we've got left, you can see. And there's juice in there, everything, right? So what I'm going to do tomorrow, I'm going to put this in the fridge, and I'm going to take it through a blender and I'm going to blend it up really, 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 really well, right? And then I'm going to I'm going to make tomato beef macaroni soup, or spaghetti soup. Tomato beef macaroni soup, tomato beef spaghetti soup, and I'm going to use a can of beef chunks that I pressure canned myself. That's what I'm going to do. I think so. With maybe some peas or something. I don't know. We'll see. Hold on. Okay, so I cut it all up best I could. There was one tomato in there that had a little... I didn't have Andre double check. I should have. Anyway, I was chopping everything up. Cut it. I seen a little end there, whatever. I put it in my mouth. I could taste the mold in it. Turned out I didn't even cut that one open, so that's gone. But this here, I had Andre look it over. This is good. This is going to be ground up tomorrow. And like I said, I'm going to make... I'm going to make beef, tomato beef, pasta soup. This, I'm looking for about 14 cups. I don't know if I'm going to get 14 cups. Either or, I'm going to start counting. I'm going to put it in here and I'm going to start cooking. So hold on. So basically what you do here is you just try and boil down some of the liquid, right? That's why you take out what you can. I could have strained it, but whatever. I'm going to thicken it up with some tomato paste. Now I did open up this can. What I got was like almost 13 cups of cut tomato, fresh. I was shooting for 14, but I didn't get it. So here's 14, and I was a little shy of 13, so we'll just say 14, right? And then this one will cover for what's missing on the, I'm just going to chop that up and put it in there as is. And this is probably about another cup or so from the can. And then with this, I'm just going to take this and put it in there, and then that's going to be for my, oh, sorry, wandering eye. That's going to be for the tomato beef macaroni soup tomorrow, which I'll, like I said, use home canned beef, and I'm going to grind that up in a food mill first. So hold on. Okay, it's getting late and I'm getting tired. It's already 10 o'clock. Anyway, I can't use that lid because apparently I have to calibrate it. I didn't calibrate it. I didn't know. You gotta try it out first for 20 to 40 minutes to do whatever. And then you gotta test it once a year if you use it regularly. Just, whatever. So, lucky me, I have, with my big pot, a lid that actually fits that, so I'm just gonna use that. So in the meantime, it doesn't matter. Okay, so I boiled that down a little bit. I don't know how much. I'm not going to sweat it right now. I cut the one large onion, one red pepper, one green pepper. I put in about 5 cloves of garlic in this already. It's been cooking for a bit, right? So now we're going to just, what I'm looking for is about 5 cups of onion and pepper, right? It doesn't matter. You can have more pepper, more onion. So I'm putting in, okay, so 1, So not motivated for this. Right? I want to go to sleep. 2, 3. That's the thing about losing your eyesight. You know, when they say people get depressed, right? You know, people get depressed. They just want to lay down and not do anything and just sleep and all. You don't even know. So that's 5 there. So I got a little more than 5, but that's okay because we know I'm going to use some citric acid anyway, right? And I'm not using all the other peppers that were in there. Well, the one, like I said, so many recipes are different, right? That I don't know. It's a hit and miss, it seems. So that's about 6 and a bit. Not too much over a bit. Okay. So I'm gonna put that in there. I'm gonna start stirring this around because I want to get on with it. Right. And get that starting to cook for a little while. And I'm just gonna throw everything in there that I've got right now. And so I got a little bit of, I'll put this in at the very end, right? Well, I should actually put it in now so it can give off some flavor. But there's some cilantro and some parsley. Half and half. So I'm going to just chop this up. This camera might run out of space. Right? So I'm just going to chop this up. I'm not going to chop in the stems. The stems I'm going to put in with what's in the fridge there for tomorrow, and then we'll just get blended up with the you know, that other tomato stuff. And now that I don't see very well, I'm not as, you know, fancy dancy the way I used to be when I used to cook, in terms of not everything is uniform. Who just ran in there, Sky or Lily? So I'm just going to throw in about that much, which is nothing. Okay. Alright. And then I'm going to squeeze in a bit of lime, because I read a recipe where there's a lime. I don't know where I was using it to, you know, but I can't see it. I don't know where it is right now. So I'm just going to squeeze this in the bowl. I don't think there's any seeds. All right. Maybe cut out the fiber a little bit. Not going to hurt anything. It's just going to add a little taste to it, right? So I'm going to do one whole lime just to start to see, oops. For the most part, to see if the flavor even comes through, because it might not. I wasn't very prepared for this. I'm burning out with food prep, that's why. And my eyes are getting worse, that's why. It's very draining. Eye doctors make me feel sick. They really do. They make me sick. When I was taking eye drops before in the past regularly, I was getting sick. And then when I didn't have the eye drops because I couldn't get them, if you notice, I had more energy. You know. But this is going on now a year and a half with my eyes the way they are. It's just been too long. And I definitely feel it now. Because I've been using eye drops for a full year straight. And this guy's poking with his lights and shooting me with laser guns and the left eye, and not good. What I do, if I can't, right, you just put it like this. more. So I don't know. That's a fair amount in there, really. I just don't want no seeds, but it doesn't look like these things have seeds. Anyway, I'm just gonna put it in there. I got another one if I want. I can still do that in a minute. Okay. And then these things, these are the hot peppers. I'm not going to put them in yet because they're so soft, but I am going to cut them. And I'm also going to put in some jalapeno because I don't think these will be enough. So I'm basically just going to cut these up kind of small. Right. I do everything by feel these days. A lot of it. I don't know. It's going to be hard to make that transition. Whatever transition I'm going into. It's like metamorphosis. Right? Going into a cocoon to come out to be something else. I'm not sure what that something else is yet. Right. Not that I'll see what I'll look like after I come out of the cocoon. Am I going to be an ugly moth or a beautiful butterfly? Which one? I think, too, I work too hard. That's a big one. And I'm getting older now, so it's even harder, right? What else are you going to do, right? Like yesterday. I was doing laundry all day yesterday. Pretty much. It's not fun, you know. It's too much. I don't know how chopped up these are supposed to be, but I don't know how well they'll retain their flavor in the pot, or in the jar, I should say. Ugh. Now, with this recipe that I'm kind of following, the woman only cooked the onions there's a stem in there for about 10 minutes. But she stewed down the tomatoes first just to try and get rid of some of the liquid because otherwise it's runny, right? And you kind of want it a little thicker because it's salsa. But I'm going to end up putting this tomato paste in there anyway. Yeah. So it doesn't matter to me because I'm tired. I want to get this over with already. These might hold up their shape pretty good. It's about it looks like to be about a cup maybe. Of these. Not quite. And they're already pickled. It's a little more than a half a cup. I'm just going to throw them in there. Throw the juice in there too. I already put a little bit of salt. Now, pretty much anytime you're using a lot of tomatoes, because of the acid, to take the bite off the acid, you know, so you don't get the heartburn so much, you can throw in a bit of sugar, to which I have some here that's doing whatever it's doing. Yeah, that's sugar. So, it got hard. I'll just put that in there. And that will break up and dissolve. There's a bit more here I can use. I've been kind of just leaving this here. Anyway. Just put it in there and stir it around and it will melt. It will dissolve. What it tastes like right now, as is, without anything really being cooked yet. Like nothing. It tastes like nothing. Although I can taste the lime a little bit. I want a bit more. I have to work on this. Hold on a minute. Okay, this is just getting better. Okay. I put a couple of those hot chilies in there. I think four or six of them anyway. And I crushed them up, right? Whatever. Rub my eye, my left eye, and now my left eye is burning. Right? Oh my Lord!
The rapture, you know, when all of a sudden we have this timeline switch.
It's got too much liquid in it. I don't like it because I haven't even put in the vinegar yet.
And the wicked get purged.
And this won't be enough to thicken it up. So I'm boiling it down just a little bit. Listening to other people talk about the splice and dice reptilians and, you know, and the ones that came from a different planet, different solar system, been controlling the planet, this planet, Earth, for the last thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and how RH negative blood, like mine, we're the nice ones, right? In terms of it's in our DNA, right? We're either the fallen angels, or we're kind of in par with the ones that kind of try and protect the Earth. So I guess when you look at the foundation, you can't be surprised, right? Because that would have fallen parcel with those angels. So you see, I'm not the only one, people, that think that there's something else walking among us that don't show their faces, their true faces, right? This one guy was talking about how people have been putting trail cams out on trails, and these trail cams have been picking up strange reptilian creature type things walking around, and
I've had remote viewers too that talk about some kind of event that's going to take
only I think it's more than just reptilians. Yeah. I mean, like, but then that bubble shit that goes on with these things, I don't know. And they like to.
Some of the remote viewers that I talked to. So, are you familiar with that?
They close their eyes. This part all puckers out.
Also, the Mayans have it right. I mean, their calendar kind of was based on this.
And then they start growing bubbles. And if you're lucky, you can catch the horn coming. Serious. Did that with Christy Clark and her son. I have a video on that too. They like to go on the side, and they start with whatever they're doing, and then the camera moves, right? Because you know, whoever's recording them is a part of it.
Yeah, that's the reason why nothing happens.
And of course, that's controlled media, right? When it comes to politicians and all their bullshit crap, right?
Because that's when the real Mayan calendar ends. It's at the, sometime between 24 and 25.
Oh, this is taking too long.
That's it, huh? Yeah. So
once I put in the, I just kind of want to get it over with, but I know it's too runny, right? I haven't even put the vinegar in yet. It's still too runny.
And these people, these
once I put the vinegar in, it's even going to be more runny.
Absolutely, yeah. They don't
but I don't want to take it. I don't want to take it out.
They want us to keep us confused. They want us to think that
we're
living according to the right timekeeping system. When in essence we are.
It's missing something. Probably the vinegar.
You know, many people believe
and salt, but I like salt, so I don't know.
The Matrix was imposed 6,000 years ago, by the way, by the fallen Anunnaki. And there is this thing called an intergalactic AI
I can
computer
taste that
network,
cilantro. I don't
which
like
all
cilantro.
reptilians, the cabal, even the cabal, are working with this ancient alien AI who wants to
But I'm sure
ultimately
once I put the vinegar
transform
in,
us into
it will be
cyborgs.
better.
And that's what we call the Luciferian path.
And
So
I
that's why
do feel
warn
like
people about the
it
development
really
of
does
AI. I
need
warn
some
people
more
about
salt.
even using
Yeah.
ChatGPT and staying away from the metaverse.
Doesn't have enough
Digital,
salt.
You know, don't create your digital version of yourself.
I'm gonna wait
What you're
until
doing is
after
you're
the
feeding it
vinegar.
the AI timeline. So that's what we call the path of the
Because it could be
Antichrist.
just me.
And every race
So anyway,
out there,
here's that citric acid.
whether every race out there has
I bought it a long time ago. It's food grade. I have never opened it, but now I'm going to open it and then I'm going to put it into jars. And I will use
So a lot of these races out there that have been compromised or taken over by AI are actually time traveling back into
just
our past to make sure that we don't
a little less than that.
So
The true Mayan calendar ends, you're going to say, in
Right.
2025?
between 2024 and 2025.
I'm too tired to be doing this right now.
Many believe that
But
at the peak
my
of the
eyes
CMEs
make me
are
tired
CMEs.
too,
So right
right?
now the CMEs are ramping up. which
I've
is
been up
like
since,
the
I
massive
don't
Normal
know,
mass injections, right?
for a while now.
And so it's supposed to peak sometime in 2024.
Okay,
beginning of
so I'm just going to
2025.
put those in a jar when the
That
time
could be
comes, and then
you know, released
at the bottom of the jar,
that's
and then
gonna
I'm going
actually,
to,
shift the entire planet into a new reality.
yeah,
And only the right
turned up
New
the heat.
reality. And so this would be what the Mayans talked about.
Cook, blow off some more
Okay, so
water,
be scared of that, or are people
evaporate.
like, honestly, like, or is that going to be like,
which is associated with
Okay, I don't think I like making salsa.
all that stuff's gonna be eliminated. You know, all the protein people
There's a
buy,
reason
all
why
that's gonna be neutralized by
I
the
really
soy
don't
crush.
like
For those
apple
that
cider
don't, you know,
vinegar,
if you're
because to
light,
what
me,
goes on in 10?
it's like cilantro. I don't like it either, right?
you know, it doesn't
And I can
matter
still
what
taste
you
it in
call
there.
you know,
That's how sensitive
establish
I
a
am to
personal
cilantro.
relationship with this infinite creator.
So next time I do this, it will be half of what I put
And
in.
that's one thing about the positive races, my friend, is that they all
And I might end up eliminating it altogether yet. Anyway, apple cider vinegar, I put 1 cup in there, stirred it around.
This is so fascinating.
Because I don't really like apple cider
Ismael,
vinegar,
I'm gonna go ahead
people.
and end it there, but your
No, they say it's
your
good
book
for
is
you,
called,
but
Cosmic Origin. You're starting
it
with
reminds
Before
me of
Week.
old booze.
You
you know,
come to El Paso and just put
And
it
I'm not really a drinker.
But,
Like, no.
Unfortunately, this time.
It's all right, but our Cosmic Origin, what can people get this?
I don't know if maybe using
Well,
lemon
yeah,
would be
in order to
better.
get the new edition, which is better than the old
It's hard to
edition,
say.
I added a new chapter which actually explains the last war against evil. Order it through my website.
I liked it better
cosmicorigin.com.
when
So if you order it through my website, you click A for Amazon, they will ship you
the
new
apple
edition.
cider vinegar doesn't
Now,
merge
I
well
also
with the
want to point out
cilantro.
that on the 14th of November,
I don't like it.
For those that live in Utah, I'm gonna be
And
in
the
Salt
hotness
City,
of the peppers went away.
giving a 3-hour presentation with Q&A, and then I'm also going to be.
I don't know, this is
spending
not
personal
easy.
time with you. You guys can attend my event. On the
I don't know
16th of November,
what I'm
gonna
trying to
be
do
in
here.
Denver, Colorado.
But it's
On the
not what I
28th
want.
20th, I'm sorry, of November, I'm going to be in St. Louis, Missouri.
Now, mind you, it's
And
warm,
then on the 25th of
I'm
November,
gonna put a
I'm
whole
gonna be in
can of
Farmingdale,
this in.
New York.
right?
And then on the 4th of December, I'm going to be in Boca Raton, Florida.
Just
And then
make sure.
finally, I'm in my bookstore in Naples,
yeah.
Florida on the 6th of December.
So I'm gonna
what
put
I
a
can
whole
do
can
is
of this
give
in,
you
and
my,
maybe that will
Eventbrite for those that want to come and meet me in person.
make it
it's gonna
taste
be
better.
amazing.
Are you holding like
not-
a seminar? Is
it's
it
not what I wanted.
Or just signing books?
It's well, what it
And I
includes
don't think I'm
is,
gonna
you're gonna
use
get an
apple
autographed
cider
copy of
vinegar the
the
next time I do this.
I'm going to do a 2-hour PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to take Q&A, and then I'm going to spend individual time with each and every single person
Right.
that's attending. So it's going to be about 4 hours, the whole event.
Wow.
And of course, we'll be providing beverages and snacks.
And
for those
can they
that
get
come.
tickets on ourcosmicorigin.com as well?
No, they can only get tickets through the Eventbrite link, which I could always send it to you if you want to put it
Send it to
in.
me, yeah. But you should have a link on your ourcosmicorigin.com to put it on there.
I should. Unfortunately, I didn't.
Newsflash.
Good idea.
But yeah, you should put that on there. So man, this has been interesting.
And then I put about a half a cup of normal vinegar. Because I was gonna put a cup and a half in, right?
Smile.
But
We can call it the
I'm not
Cosmic
putting in
War
no half a
AI.
cup of vinegar.
Yeah,
1.5
there's
cups
so
of
much
apple
you're
cider
not gonna
vinegar.
get catchy for the YouTubers.
I like that.
God,
I'm sure you'll talk about it.
I'll get it. Bro. I'll okay with you. Thank you for coming on, Ismael, and I'd love to have you on again as you progress.
And honestly, if you're using citric acid,
give us an update.
I don't know how much vinegar you actually have to put in.
My man. Thank you so much.
That stuff is pretty potent.
Later, my man.
Okay, putting in the
And so you're going to see the big
tomato
banks
paste.
dump on Wall Street very soon. Again, all the insiders are selling. Whether or not this is
Thickened
Warren
it up,
Buffett, I'm going to get
so
the
that's
story in just a
good.
minute. Tim Cook at Apple, or Jamie Dimon, who has never sold stock ever in his tenure in history
Right.
at JP Morgan Chase, but is now dumping hundreds of millions, maybe billions of
taste
dollars worth of his own shares. Now, IRS data reportedly showed today that
So if
Warren
you want a
Buffett
little
could potentially
thicker,
be insider trading, according to ProPublica.
I would
There was a
recommend
leak
using
accusations
a
that
can of
Warren
tomato
Buffett
paste.
has actually been front-running his
If you
own
like apple
shares
cider
over
vinegar,
at Berkshire
then use
Hathaway
that.
and
But
selling
I don't
and
like
buying
it,
from his own
and
personal
but I thought I'd
account.
give it a shot.
This was just leaked from confidential IRS data. It is all over the news, and these are really stark, grave allegations if they're true. Now, keep in mind, Warren Buffett also is sitting on the largest cash pile ever at Berkshire Hathaway. If you compare it to Berkshire,
It reminds me of
shares,
El
sitting
Paso,
at about a $764 billion
El Paso
market cap. They're sitting
salsa
on
sauce,
about 20%
to which
cash
I don't like.
right now. They own about or have about $157 billion in cash on the sidelines. So it's really interesting as Warren Buffett has been aggressively selling stocks like Chevron and hoarding a record level of cash. We now have breaking news that he could be. These are the allegations.
Because to me it has a bitter bite to it, to which this kind of has, because maybe because of this apple cider vinegar, because it didn't taste like this until I put the apple cider vinegar in. Andre, I need you to come and tell me what you think. Andre likes El Paso salsa sauce, so
Okay, what?
you have to tell me what you think of it. The camera's on, so be careful there. Don't knock the camera. It's very hot. But here, hold your own spoon.
Oh my, that is Steven.
Okay, taste. You like El Paso salsa sauce. This to me tastes more like an El Paso.
It is a pasta. It is one.
Okay, so what do you think of it?
It's really good.
You like it?
It tastes like the ones that you don't like.
Does it?
Yes.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I know it does.
Alright, Phil. I need to go check on Amari.
Well, finish it.
I have to bring it with me.
So there, you heard it from Andre. It tastes like El Paso pasta sauce. The ones that I don't like. And it would have had to do with the apple cider vinegar. I chose the apple cider vinegar because that's the better vinegar, right? But I don't necessarily like it. Well, I'll just leave this turned down. But other than that, I'm done. That's all I'm doing with this. I don't know how to fix it. I don't know how to fix it, but it's okay. It will be good with corn chips.
Well, I'm definitely gonna look for some corn chips tomorrow.
Huh?
I'm definitely gonna go look for some corn chips tomorrow.
And it has a little bit too much cilantro in it.
It just tastes like El Paso, that's it.
I can taste the cilantro. I don't like cilantro.
I don't taste it.
Anyway, that's my first time making it. It has a little bit of bite, but I added a little extra chili, and think that once this is jarred up and everything, you know, it will seep. Because food does that when it's canned. Sometimes you can food and they say don't eat for a couple, 2-3 weeks. Let it just seep. Now I'm going to get these jars with the lug lids ready. And I'm going to use my new canner without the lid that it came with because I didn't calibrate it. Go figure. What a great night. You know what? I haven't listened to Laura Lynn for a while now. I'm talking on the video. Anyway, I don't know.
Few individuals everyone needs to know, like who
She jumping on this bandwagon supporting Israel for what Israel is doing, right? And honestly, people, I'm not surprised.
All right. Now this is a disturbing video for me as a mom, and I'm thinking about how you want to raise your kids up.
What was I saying? I don't know what I was saying there.
People that don't hate.
I don't quite understand that language. Okay? I'm just saying. 2 wrongs don't make a right. Right? And she coming in with selective information that isn't necessarily.
I'm going to say these kids are like 7.
I don't know, people. The rabbit hole up in that area is very deep. Okay?
That kid looks scared. They're toy guns. They're toy guns, of course. They're down on the ground. They have.
All I know is I'm siding more with the Palestine people because they've been under siege for a long time. And we're dealing with a very haughty group of individuals, the Israelites, right? That
the Jews, and they know full well.
Oh, this is going on YouTube. I'm sorry, I can't talk. I gotta go get my doggy muzzle.
I know.
I wonder where that came from.
That came to this country, and
I give you one guess.
Seen you, we know you, and
I give you one guess, people.
I urge you to begin to stand against
Anyway,
the rhetoric, the violence, and the incorrect thinking.
I'm using the lug lid. We're trying it out.
That is
I only got 5 jars.
A lot of people right now that are being
which isn't very much.
pro-Hamas.
So you don't want these things
I make a
floating up off the jar.
I believe
Right.
that the Palestinians
So,
really vigilate
I don't know.
once Hamas is
This
out.
whole thing might have gone down
But
into the
if you
water bath.
If you're silent,
We're not there yet.
if you will
I've never
not
used
stand
lug lids
with
before.
justice, if you will not stand with your other people,
So,
Muslim, Arabs,
You just
that
wanted
speak
to
well of the
hook onto the
in
rim,
Jerusalem,
right?
in
So
Israel,
the lid doesn't
then
float up to the top.
you're going to allow
Right.
a lie and a deception to be spoken out loud. And
You
many of you
know?
are afraid because you actually are worried that you're going to be ostracized from your community if you speak. There's one thing worse
Oh,
than being
boy, I don't know.
ostracized from a community, and that is living
You
in
have to
fear
let the
on
rubber
your own
do its job.
and allowing your world to descend into chaos.
Right.
As you describe. That's what
So,
it is from being ostracized. You have a
the
whole
air has to
family
be able to escape.
of Canadians, and even some
Oh,
of
I'm
them
so
in
nervous
America.
with this, you don't
have
even
a
know.
whole network that you can join
Okay,
with
so what I've
justice
done,
for non-violent civilization.
just a little extra water
And
maybe.
if we do not stand together against that,
Oh,
it's coming here.
so,
That's where
I guess in this
we left
situation,
a land to come for freedom.
I can try this
And
rack,
Fight for that truth.
right?
Well, we
No,
do
it's
have
not, this rack
on
is not going to
another
be full,
note,
so God forbid
Conservative
if my
Party of
jars
BC is calling out
fall down.
Dr. Bonnie Henry apparently, and the NDP failings over the handling
know.
of the
And I don't
last
have a-
3 years. So
Boy,
that's how
I'm
it's
doing really good here.
During the COVID-19 crisis,
I don't have my lid that I wanted to use.
chaos caused by constantly changing rules, brutal restrictions on
I don't
people's
even know if
personal
this is gonna
freedom, and a
fall when
heavy-handed
I
approach that especially failed the
cross
most
my
vulnerable
fingers,
British
right?
Columbians. Today, Mr. Speaker, British Columbia stands alone against all evidence as one of the only jurisdictions in the world to ban healthcare workers who choose not to take the jab because of ideological agenda of this extreme leftist NDP government and their unelected bureaucrats. In the midst,
Well, we know who's running that show. Eleanor Gildan, the rich bitch of British Columbia, Canada, that can go out there and commit any kind of crime that she wants because the province of British Columbia, Canada says, you go, girl, you go. I'm sorry, you go, hag, you go, hag. Because she's a hag, people. Okay, so lucky me.
Question, members. Members, hold it. Member, question, please.
thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question to this NDP Premier. Will
Lucky
he
me.
fire Dr. Bonnie Henry and hire back the
I have my own lid
who were wrongly
from a different
convicted
pot because I'd be screwed right now.
Minister of Health.
Anyway, there we go. Fits perfect, like spot on. Like it couldn't fit on any better than it does.
People in BC know that we as a province, not the government, the whole province,
Apparently,
BC,
I have to
led the world in
caliberize
response
this,
to COVID-19. We did so
but I didn't do that.
because we respect,
I bought that pot specifically
we respect
for that,
our public
but
health
I can't
leaders,
use it.
and we had an outstanding public health leader, Dr. Bonnie Henry, leading.
Dr. God, Dr. Death, whatever she is to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, Adrian Dix, you were all a nightmare. And you continue to be.
Oh,
NDP
I guess I
needs to go
should see
to
how much
Columbia.
how much water
Take
is
your vote
over
count
these
next time
jars.
around. Let them know what you thought of it all. We've
Doesn't
got
look
clinics,
quite enough.
hospitals shutting down.
I need a little more. Oh, and I guess I should
People
turn
are
up
all
the
there.
heat, right?
They need work.
Oh boy, I'm doing a good job here, right, people?
What's
I'm
going
moving
on?
I'm moving slow, man.
You've all failed miserably.
Now,
Bruce Banner,
you have
well done.
2 ways of doing this.
Well done.
Well, mind you, I'm using a lug
love
lid,
this
so I don't
guy.
know
He's
if it
just
would be
standing up like
applicable with
nobody's
the
business
lug
in
lid.
there. I
So we're
appreciate
gonna-
it. Send
we're
him a
gonna
nice
boil
note,
it.
everyone. Senator Blackburn filed
Probably.
subpoena to release the Epstein files.
Right? You just have to get
flight
it
logs.
hot
now,
enough.
Wouldn't that be interesting? How come they keep hiding all
That's
these
all
sex
you have
rings? You know,
to
there's
do.
another sex ring that just got uncovered,
Okay.
and they won't.
So, now,
Oh, that's the next. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead.
to
All right, we're gonna
pasteurize,
cover that. So let's
if
just
you
look
want it
at
to
Senator
pasteurize,
Blackburn files
you don't need the lid on.
And since we're in
You
the
need a
business
candy thermometer.
of issuing subpoenas
And you got to bring the
now,
water up
here are a few more.
to 190, 185, 190, and you got to hold it there
to provide the flight
20,
logs
30
for
minutes.
his private plane, given
Right.
the numerous
Whatever makes you feel
allegations
good.
of human trafficking and
It only
sexual
takes,
abuse
oh, I don't know how many minutes to
surrounding Mr.
actually
Epstein.
pasteurize
I
something.
think it is
Doesn't
very
really take
important
that long.
we identify
It's like with
everybody
botulism.
that was on
You
that
cook
plane and how many
a jar of
trips
food
they took on that plane and the
that's been
destination to
canned.
which they arrived.
Okay, wouldn't it be great to have that? Okay, so
That's
this is
been canned.
This is our next one. In the USA, they have busted
Here.
a high-profile sex trafficking ring.
It
Did
says
you see
beef,
this,
no
in the
salt.
last
I
couple
just made
days?
this
And,
recently.
it involved
I don't know if I'll
government
use that
contractors,
jar
professors,
tomorrow.
military
Or maybe I'll go in my
officers,
bedroom and I'll get an older jar,
executives
right?
at pharmaceutical
But,
companies. And guess what? They don't want to release the names. I wonder why.
What was I saying?
Today, 3 individuals
I don't even
arrested and
remember.
charged in federal court with operating a sophisticated
Because I'm
high-end
tired.
brothels
I want a coffee.
in Cambridge, in Watertown, and in Eastern Virginia. These
So when you
establishments
pasture, oh yes.
were alleged
you open this
to
jar.
2 different websites.
Doesn't matter if it was canned a week ago or 10 years ago. Okay? As long as, for the ones that haven't watched my videos and know this, as long as the rust, because after 10 years you're going to probably have a little bit of rust somewhere on your lid, because these are, they can't stand up to the test of time. That's where lug lids maybe are a little better, because they're not so sensitive to rust. Or these ones are so thin, and just, you know, if they start rusting on the outside, it's not long before it eats through the... Okay, so as long as the jar is intact and it hasn't popped and everything's looking still kind of okay, it may discolor over a period of 10 years, but, you know, not to the point where, if it, you know, like, it might get a little darker, but it won't be bad, right? If your food is above the liquid and it's kind of just sitting in dead air and it starts to get a little different color and it, you know, it's looking kind of dry, well, that would be normal because it's above the water, right? The liquid, right? So in this situation, though, whether you canned it a week ago or 10 years ago, you open it up, you put it in a pot, you bring it to a boil, you put on a lid, turn down your heat, have it on a low, medium boil. Don't open the lid, cook it for 10 minutes, because at the end of the day, it only takes 3 minutes, only 3 minutes out of that 10 minutes to kill any botulism spores in the event that they might be there. And you should do that with every low-acid food, unless, of course, you're using stuff like that. Right? And when in doubt, you can use your citric acid as a little added measure, to which I did. Now, the only thing that I think I maybe did wrong, I think I filled up, I'm not sure, I can't remember. I think I filled up
with a paid woman of the evening. And then
6 jars with a little bit of that acid.
To blackmail them.
I only got 5 jars in the canner.
A lot about our world.
So, but I don't see nothing on the bottom here. Andre, come here, please.
A lot of sexual perversion,
because I need you to see something.
Sadly, maybe brought on.
Look underneath this and let me know if you see anything white.
Younger and younger children.
I don't know if I just put the citric acid in 5 jars or 6 jars.
Older.
No,
Mind
just
you,
seeds.
So what ones you couldn't find anywhere,
I should not have done that to my
now,
neck.
you know, you had to go somewhere and publicly buy your magazine or whatever, I suppose.
So anyway, that's.
But now you just got to turn on
I can always throw in an
your,
extra tomato in there. I got more
find
tomatoes
this
around.
smut. Let me tell you something.
So,
about smut. Let me tell you something about what.
When you pasteurize,
what.
it kind of goes down to the same thing. You know, you give it. You can keep it at 190.
And so these guys have all.
I know it doesn't take that long. I think it only honestly takes about 3 minutes to pasteurize something.
You know, their wives are going to leave them if their name comes out on
But give it some extra time. Do
Do
the reading on it. I don't even remember anymore. I could be confused. I could be confused with the botulism. Right? It only takes 3 minutes to actually kill botulism spores, but you got to give it enough time to get to that right temperature. That's why you boil it with the lid on low boil, right? And boil it with the lid on to get that vacuum pressure in there, to give it that, 3 minutes to do what it needs to do, and then you're good to go. This I can pasteurize for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and through that process, the heat will go through enough to the jar to get that to that 3 minutes of, because you have to remember the heat still has to travel through the jar, right? So that's probably where the 30 minutes comes in from. Right? Depending on the size of your jar, right? This is almost a quart, so you'd go at least 30 minutes. Pint would probably be 20 minutes. But I don't pasteurize in pints. I pasteurize in quarts. So that would give you enough time for the heat to travel through the jar, and it would do what it needs to do. But in this situation, I'm just gonna bring it to a boil, and I don't know, I'm gonna see what happens with these lids.
of what's
Right.
happened.
and then
You don't wanna
see if
think
they
it's
seal,
just
which they probably
so
will.
ignorant.
They're either going to
I don't
seal
wanna think
or they're
that.
going to pop off,
This dumb.
or I'm going to leak stuff from my jars. I don't know.
Canada, but
We'll find
maybe
out.
they are that blackmailed.
So,
Perhaps
the next time I do this,
give them-
won't be for a while because I want to
Well,
finish up
stop
with
doing
some more
stupid
food
stuff.
prep.
That's what I say. Finally, so
Uh,
there was a GOP.
I might
debate
do it in a
couple of
month.
Days ago. I don't know if you're watching.
A month from now.
The runners up to Trump, because Trump's
As
been
I'm
in the
putting
past
things
in the
away
United
next
States,
2 weeks, 3 weeks,
to
4 weeks.
win the
Just
presidency.
because
But there's a lot
there's going to
of
come a time
people
where I
that
just
are
want to put all the
into
pots
their
away.
debate, and there's a young fiery guy.
But
Vivek
I'm going to try it
Ramaswamy,
differently.
And he pretty much
I
lit up
think
the
next
debate
time I
panel
do it,
and the moderators.
I'm
Take
going
a
to
look.
try it with maybe lemon juice. I'm going to try it with, I'm going to do one batch with lemon juice, bottled lemon juice that is, and then I'm going to do another batch with white vinegar.
Last night. We become a
Right.
party of losers at the end of the day. Is it cancer in the
I don't know if you can
Speak
make,
the truth. I mean,
you
since
can.
Ryan
I'm
Daniel
pretty
took
sure
over
you can
as
make
chairwoman
salsa
of the RNC
sauce
in 2017. We have lost 2018, 2020.
with very little
2022, no red
vinegar,
wave that never came. We got trounced last
as long as
night
you're
in
using the
2023.
citric acid.
And I think that we have to have
But I'm
accountability
not
in our party.
100%
For that
sure,
matter, Ron, if you want
right,
to
in
come on
terms
stage
of,
tonight, you want to look the GOP voters in the eye and tell
it's,
them you
it's,
resign,
it's something
will
I
turn
don't
over yield
use.
my time to you. And frankly,
But-
look, the people there cheering for losing in the Republican Party.
I'll buy
Who's moderating
salsa.
this debate? This should be Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and Elon Musk.
And then I'm going to look
We
on
got
the
10 times viewership,
ingredients
asking questions that GOP
and see what they
primary
have on
voters
there.
actually care about and bring in more
And if
people
they
into our
don't list
party.
vinegar, then that means all they use to preserve it outside of the tomato with the acid of the tomato would have been the citric acid, but I don't think the tomato has enough acid to preserve the onions and the peppers and the herbs.
Was that real or was that Hillary
So you
Clinton
still
made
have
up
to
this
use some sort of
Answer the question,
lemon
go.
or
This is how we get our country back.
vinegar.
We need accountability
So the next
because
batch
this
I
media
do with
rigged the
vinegar
2016
will be with
election.
white
They rigged the
vinegar.
2020 election with the Hunter Biden laptops.
And then I'll do another batch with lemon juice in a bottle. And I'm definitely cutting back on the cilantro, if not removing it altogether for my
No idea what
personal
he was.
taste,
He was,
because I
you know,
just
he's on a live
don't
TV
like it.
debate stage, and
I'll
he's
do
just
half of
absolutely
what I
like
did
letting them have
next
it.
time,
You know,
and if I
wouldn't
find
that
it
be so
still
right?
to be
You know,
bothersome,
that's what
then I'm going to
Carlson
completely
and
remove it.
Elon Musk,
Also,
you know, do
there
these
could be,
debates and
because I
ask
put garlic
the
in
right
this,
and appropriate
that could be
questions
another
because
factor
of
as to why
criminals, and
maybe
it's
I don't
terrible
like it so
moderation,
much in
so
terms
I
of
just love it. And,
it.
you
You know,
he's been
I
getting
like
some
the
bad
El
press.
Paso,
Nikki Haley,
I like
you
the
know,
El
cancer,
Paso
and even some of the
pickled
people on Fox,
jalapenos.
they
Those
just
were good.
hate,
But I
Vivek
don't
for
like
some
the El
reason.
Paso
I like him. I think
salsa.
he is
Andre
fiery.
does,
I think he
but I
calls
don't.
a spade
What's
a
in it?
spade,
I don't
and
know. I just
he
find it kind
you
of
know,
bitter.
What is he? Is he what?
Where this one I kind of,
Hindu?
it's almost a
Yeah,
similar
yeah.
taste.
You know, and you
So
just
it's
have to
either
say,
the cilantro
"Here's America for you."
or
You know,
it's
you
the
got
garlic,
strong
or
guy
it's
with
the
integrity who's willing to call out all the criminals.
apple
And,
cider
he's a
vinegar.
lovely guy, you know, it's
I
just
don't think it's the
absolutely
lime,
fantastic.
though.
I love him.
I don't.
I would love to have dinner with him. I just think he's
Because
fantastic.
before I
So
put the
I don't
apple
think he's
cider
gonna
vinegar
win.
in,
He's, you know, he's
it
not
was more
super
palatable,
hot
although
in the
I didn't like the
debates, and
cilantro.
Nikki Haley and all
So
of
I
that,
think the
you
culprit
know,
for
I
me
can't
is the
stand her. I just
cilantro
think
and the
she's
apple cider vinegar.
who cares,
Anyway,
you know?
I'm going to bring this up to a boil,
So I just hope he does
get
well.
it going,
I'm
and once
wondering
it's
if he
kind
might
of
have a place
going
in
at a
the Trump
steady pace,
presidency when
I'm
that
going to
all
give it
happens.
20 minutes, and
We'll
then
see, because
turn off the
he
canner.
does not speak against
I'm
the
not
president.
taking
In
off
fact,
the
he
lid for about
constantly
5
talks
minutes or
about
so,
the positives
and then I'll
that,
take off the
Donald
lid,
Trump
and
said.
before I take
Like,
out the
there was
jars,
no war under
I let it
Donald
sit
Trump.
for
Like,
another
we had
5
the
minutes,
Abraham
because
Accords. He was
changing
meeting with the, you know,
right
president
too
of
fast
South Korea.
is not
He's
always good
making the world a
for
safer
jars,
and a
right?
better place. He
And
moved
bring them out,
Jerusalem.
and then we're going to see
He moved the embassy
if-
to
if they
Jerusalem
seal.
where it had, you know,
because they
even
have the button.
Obama said he would, but he
Right?
never did.
They have the button.
Coward and a liar. But,
So the button.
but Trump was willing. Trump is willing to do, you know,
The
difficult
the button.
things. And so Vivek doesn't put him down. He, you know, he talks about all these amazing things that were happening and going on.
Should go down.
I like him, so I hope he wins. Well, I hope he moves up, you know, and does get a place.
And if the
to-
jar
to keep-
pops,
to keep for American
the button will
residents.
pop.
Absolutely fantastic. My website is Laura Lynn.
So everything should be
Live,
fine as long as the jar's
LauraLynn.tv,
sealed. So
and
I guess
think
we'll
covered
find out
everything.
very
Jason,
soon.
did I-
Okay, so there you go. That lid's working pretty good. Now I usually do this at around 8 on my stove. I find 9 is just way too crazy. Right? I mean, you're gonna have to put rags down here. You'll be spilling all over the place. And even on the article that I like, the instructions for that other lid, it says once it starts coming up to a boil and the lid is like popping up and spitting out all over the place, and yeah, you gotta turn down your heat a little bit slowly, you know, and just kind of. Now, it should be interesting to see when I use this other lid, assuming I can even see the bloody thing in terms of that gauge. Well, we got Andre, right? It should be interesting to see where the needle on my stove will go in terms of, you know, that thing there, right? Because as it is, when I do this, I do it on 8. Now, I can't tell if one of these jars lids have popped off because I hardly put any pressure on it. You don't even know. Okay? So we'll see in a little bit what happens. Okay, am I reading this correctly? Putin bombs cloning lab in Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin on Friday ordered a cruise missile strike against a deep state cloning facility in the Ukrainian city of Donetsk. Do you honestly think they're just cloning rabbits? 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 I don't. Okay, you can't make this stuff up. Okay, I'm reading this right now, okay? Russian President Vladimir Putin on Friday ordered, the cruise missile to strike against a deep state cloning facility in the Ukraine city of Donetsk. FSB agent Andrea, something here, Zakharova told Real Raw News. The strike was not conducted by the strike was conducted by the Admiral Grigorovich, a Russian warship of the Black Sea Fleet, which unleashed a wave of Novatro caliber missiles that hammered the laboratory, killed the occupants, and unalived clones of, get this people, and if this is true, you can include Canada with the province of British Columbia, Canada, aka Dr. God, Dr. Death, okay? And a few others in there. U.S. and Russian politicians that were growing in maturation cylinders. I, myself, personally, believe it. I do. And it just goes on to say, blah, 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 blah. All these people are like Putin himself, Donald Trump, some Federal Assembly chairman, Vottel and so-and-so anyway, and so-and-so anyway, among other less notable anti-deep state advocates. Anti-deep state advocates, because the ones that are advocating have already been replaced. I've been saying that for years, people. Anyway, this person guesses that programmed clones were meant to be replaced. I'm so tired. Guessed that the programmed clones were meant to replace, that's a new catchword, the actual persons after foul play came to them. Again, I believe it. Okay. Well, that's kind of nice. Now, it kind of looks like this one hasn't sealed, I don't think. I think this one did, though. Over here. I don't want to touch them. Oh, there. Now it's sealed. Now it's sealed. See? The water is clean. Look how nice and clean it is inside.
Which one are we eating?
Huh?
Which one are we going to eat?
This one, put it in the fridge.
Okay, for it to be nice and cold?
Yes, but I'm going to add an extra tomato or two into it just because I can't remember if I had...
Tomorrow or today?
Tomorrow, Andre. And I'll cook the tomato in the morning and I'll throw it in there so it's cold. Because I'm not sure if I put that citric acid in that jar or not. So it's not... It needs to have a little bit more food in it. Anyway, see? You can do it, right? And we'll just have to wait and see tomorrow. Huh?
I just liked it how it was.
Well, yeah, I know you like that one. I don't like that one, though. I don't know if it's the cilantro, or if it's the apple cider vinegar, or if it's the combination of the two of them, or if it was the garlic. I don't think it was the garlic. Definitely the cilantro. Either or, it's okay. I will attempt to do this again and again until finally I find something that is reasonable. So, see?
Say we made pasta.
Huh?
So now we can say we made salsa, Matt.
Well, it's the first batch. I'm just trying to get a recipe that I feel comfortable with, knowing that it's tasty and it's safe in terms of it being a low-acid food. Now, I do have a pH reader in my room somewhere. I just got to go find it. All right, so I guess this is the end of this video. Yeah. So I'd say that's pretty good. So yeah, when you screw on the lid, you just kind of put it on and just let it catch onto the rivet of the jar, right? Just as long as it catches a bit, that's it. And then the rubber itself is the magic, right? And because it's got that extra film and it's made differently for tomatoes, it prevents rust, right? Not that it, because acid from tomatoes eats through cans, through metals, right? Although, if you see the black underneath when you open it, but everything's still nice and red and everything, that's not rust. It's nothing. It's just that oxidization, because this will oxidize over time, right? Well, I'm pretty impressed with the idea of repurposing these jars. Yeah, I think so. Okay, it's the next day. I told you, using lug lids is not easy. Only 2 sealed. Not this one. This one did. This one did not. This one did not. This one did. So, 2 sealed. You can hear it. All right. So, of course, I'm looking at a video right now. And we're going to have to just keep trying this until we get it figured out. I have a couple of my own ideas of what I should have done different. And one person that I'm watching right now has a YouTube channel. I probably should add it to the link. Like add in the link to this video. I guess when she took out her jars, after she took them out, that's when she tightened them real tight. I didn't do that. However, when you where's that? When you use this and you take them out of the jar, if you're no, I don't want to mess with that one. If when you take them out of the jar and you're trying to, you see, look, do you see? Look at that. When you're taking out, right? You're touching, right? You're touching, right? And then if you're grabbing this part of the, do you see? I was really wondering if I was doing that correctly when I was using this, taking them out, breaking the seal or doing whatever, right? See, it's almost like if you're taking out this jar, and even then, I don't know. You'd have to catch it right underneath the lip. Anyway, we'll figure it out. Okay, now back in the past, I remember reading that it is possible to pressure can lug lids, but it's like anything on the internet. You go and you find another article or something, or somebody saying, no, you can't. Well, here, this woman, which I'm going to provide the link for to this video, says you can because she's already done it, to which, personally, I wanted to try it. But I was a little reluctant because I came across that one post or whatever and said, no. Okay, so let's read. Update. Since posting this video, I have pressure canned, because the worst that's going to happen if you put a jar in the pressure canner and it can't vent or whatever, it's just going to crack inside the jar, okay? Oftentimes it's just the bottom that cracks off, and when you take, the lid off and the jar is still standing there, but when you pull out the jar, everything falls out, right? Because it cracked on the bottom. Or it will crack on the jar. It's nothing, right? Like it's not as frightening as you think it is. Anyway, and it happens. It can happen in a water bath, and it can happen in a pressure canner in terms of cracked jars, because you're tightening your lid too tight. Pressure canner, all sorts. Okay, this video, I have pressure canned all sorts of commercial jar lids with no issue. I have used salsa jars, jelly jars, pasta sauce jars, and olive jars. They've all stood the pressure. Well, yeah, because that's what they're made for, right? And have remained sealed. I have tested this over multiple batches of canning different kinds of food. I am 100% comfortable endorsing using reused commercial jars and their lids in the pressure canner for any length of time, which includes meat times. There you go. And then there's all these comments. Do you tighten down the lug lids tight before processing? Now, watching her in this video, and she kind of cranked it a bit, so where I just put it on lightly, where it just was touching the rim, to which I don't think was good enough, because again, I read that somewhere else, right? Don't do like your standard. Just do where the lid touches the rim of the glass and leave it like that, but I don't think that works. Watching this woman, she did give it a bit of a turn, right? Also, a real easy way to get your ball lids off is to take your ring upside down, holding ring with both hands, pull fatty part of thumb. Okay, I don't know. That's taking, okay, because you can reuse canning lids from the ball jars that, but that's a different topic. Okay, I think I understand what you're saying about the ring. Okay. And then asking about pickle jars. That's an 80 ounce, right? It's like a 1.9 liter, I don't know, in terms of a ball jar, which is, you know, a larger jar than a quart size. So anyway, I'll just provide this link. Here's one. I've been canning for 10 plus years and I have never submerged jars. I have 99% success rate. This is how people can in Poland. And oops, sorry. And this is where you got to take note, right? And that's how my mom did it. I started canning to save money when we moved to Canada. For the same reasons I reuse lids, but I always check them first. So she doesn't submerge her stuff underwater. Huh. Growing up in Italian countryside, my parents canned everything possible and reused jars, bottles, and lids of all kinds year after year and never had issues. There are so many people in the U.S. who are so rigid with the canning rules. It's nice to see common sense. Okay. At the beginning of the pandemic, I bought an old box of used salsa jars, 24 jars, for $2.50, and I made homemade salsa and canned it in the used salsa jars. All perfect. Been eating since. So you just have to figure out the technique, how to use the lug lids, right? And if you want, you can pressure can if you're going to go into meats and that kind of thing, or even pressure can the salsa for that matter. Okay, found this out on accident. I was making a test batch of pickles. I used an old pickle jar and old lid, and when I tried them yesterday, found that the lid had properly sealed again. It opened and popped like I had just bought it from the store. Fantastic. Thanks for the vid as well. Okay. So if we go into a jar shortage, to which this person with her channel was facing, in terms of, you know, your regular, what you can buy in a grocery store with the two-piece sealing system, you know, you can do it this way.